Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very happy to be back. I offer my humble obeisances and to all of you who are watching, as well as those of you who will be watching the recording later on. So those who are joining now, please let others know that the session has started. You can share the link into different groups. We have a lot to cover, a very hot topic, very controversial, even amongst the Vaishnava, within the Vaishnava world. This is not something that is only controversial between non-devotees and devotees. Even within our own circle of devotees, it has become controversial. So it's very important to address this issue. This is not something that should be taken lightly, and we have to speak about that. We have to address it. It's very important because it directly challenges the authority of the Vedas. We are not speaking about this topic simply because it's a hot topic or what. Not like that. We are speaking about this topic following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was always very much ready to challenge all the allegations that man walked on the moon. And similarly, those who follow him should be also ready and should be convinced about the fact. Because this conviction in Krishna consciousness, we should not fool ourselves thinking that we are all convinced of the philosophy. No, most of us are not fully convinced. And even when we think ourselves advanced, there are some things that still we find a hard time to swallow or to realize. Because after all, the gradation of different devotees, different Krishna conscious persons, is based on faith. This is all it is. The judging factor, the spectrum to decide who is a neophyte, who is an intermediate, and who is a pure devotee, the most advanced Mahabhagavat, is based on faith. Just like that famous verse that says, for one who has implicit faith in the spiritual master in Krishna, all the imports of Vedic literature are automatically revealed. So this implicit faith in Krishna consciousness is this Shraddha, is the very underlying factor of whether or not we're going to be blessed with further spiritual advancement. But it's very hard for us to develop a very strong faith quickly. Because of the influence of Kali Yuga, because of the way that educational system has been shaped, the way that we've been brought up, different cultures, different beliefs that are all or almost all outside the Vedic purview, the Vedic culture. Nowadays, Hindus are Hindus in name only. They're very proud to claim themselves to be Hindu, but when you quote facts from Vedic scriptures, they simply dismiss it as the Puranas are stories that are written to help you understand some scientific fact of the Vedas, like that. So these so-called Hindus are actually doing a great disservice, because better be an atheist, a proclaimed atheist, than a atheistic Hindu. Because, or even worse, an atheistic so-called devotee, Vaishnava. Because what is an atheist? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that an atheist is one who rejects the authority of Vedic literature. That is called an atheist. So we have to understand that everything is based on śāstra. Without śāstra, we are as good as atheistic people, because this is our guiding principle. One who has got no faith in the books, one who has got no faith in the book that Srila Prabhupada gave us, what is he going to be guided from? What is the distinction between him and others? In fact, such a person might create more disturbance only. Because those who will be seeking answers from divine sources, apaushaya, which means divinely revealed. So shastras like Bhagavad-gītā, spoken by God Himself, Krishna, Śrīmad Bhagavatam, and so on, are given to us as perfect sources of knowledge. Okay. So I'll have to close the door. So, for those of you who have joined previous sessions before, maybe you might have remembered I was in my office in China. So at the moment I'm in the Philippines. So temporary office here set up that we've made. So yes, so if we doubt our scriptures, and now I'm addressing the devotees and the Hindus also. If we doubt our śāstra, then what is our position? We are non-different. So therefore, I would like to start with this very important verse, which I'm sure many of you know. So here it is. Kṛṣṇa says in the Bhagavad-gītā. So this is Agyascha shraddhadhanascha samshayatma vinasyati nayam lokosti na paro na sukham samshayatmanah. So the Lord is saying here, but ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. For the doubting souls, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So faith in Shastra is so important. This is so important. And here it is said, do not attain God consciousness. We're not going to become more Krishna conscious. We're not going to be developing, going through those stages of spiritual advancement that Srila Rupa Goswami is giving us. Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivritti Syat Tato Nishta Tato Richi Asakti Bhava Prema. We're not going to be progressing. So most devotees have got very little faith in Shastra. Most of us are in the neophyte platform. So therefore we must increase that faith. So, and one of the way to increase our faith is that when we are presented with an opposing element like that, that shakes the world, that takes the world by storm, that is a big news and all, we should not be swayed away into that craze by all our relatives, newspapers, news anchors, friends, co-workers who will all be believing in this nonsense. And they will just sway us away. Wow, so many people are believing in that. My very own cousin, my dear cousin is believing in this. She's saying that us Hare Krishna are kind of backwards, and so on. We don't believe in this scientific world of advancement. You know what? After all, maybe it's true. Maybe Bhagavad-gītā is not. And then, finish. You lose faith, you lose your grip, you're done. So that's why when things like this occur, we have to address them. So this is what we are humbly going to be trying to do today. And thank you very much for joining, and I hope you have shared this link in many places because we are going to be benefited, all of us, myself also. I have done little research before the class just to see different quotes of Srila Prabhupada concerning this. I wish I had had more time to do so. But anyway, whatever we have, we'll be studying, we'll be reading together. So with this, I would like to begin with the Mangala Charana prayer. So... Here it is. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjala-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahim Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunantam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you for joining. We offer our humble obeisances to all the devotees who are watching, praying to get their mercy, so that we manage to present Srila Prabhupada the best to our abilities. So yes, so all of you are definitely aware, recently India has claimed to have landed a Sputnik on the moon, or I do not know how they call it. So they have landed their machine on the moon, and this was advertised as a great achievement all over India. And different people all over the world have reacted differently. All Indians felt very proud of their nation. Maybe not all, most, definitely. And it made also some nations envious of India, and so on. So what is a Vaishnava perspective on all of this? Well, surely, if we are not having faith in our Srimad Bhagavatam, in our Bhagavad-gītā, then at least, the very least, we should not be supportive of what they're doing. If we do not know, if we are beginners in Krishna consciousness and we don't know about these things, and by mistake we support that, that is, natural, as one who doesn't have knowledge might be acting in wrong ways. But if one has been in the movement for years and has heard these statements of the Lord in Bhagavad-gītā and has read those verses of the Bhagavatam that describes the cosmic creation, and still decides to support that, then that is simply due to his misfortune. He is not being blessed with strong faith in Krishna consciousness. This Krishna consciousness is not something external. It's not something that we can fake. It's not that let me act as a devotee when I go to the temple. I'll dress like a devotee. I'll wear tilak and all, but I won't have faith in my śāstra. I won't be able to even speak to others about these facts due to shame. I'm ashamed of my beliefs, because Srila Prabhupada clearly says that one who is certain, one who is convinced of his position, he will not compromise. So speaking about compromise, I have to share something which is unfortunate. Here, as you can see, I've prepared some slides here. So, this is, it was a post by this Mataji. So, ISKCON Dwarka, New Delhi. I believe this is a Twitter, right? With Lord Krishna's grace, this starts very bad. Chandrayan 3 conquers the moon, setting a new chapter in India's history, a moment of immense pride and achievement for the nation. This post is one of the greatest disservice to Srila Prabhupada. We have got ISKCON's logo here. Proud moment for India. With Lord Krishna's grace. Just see. And then this, 3D thing with the Indian flag and so on. This is completely foolish. And this is in the category of animal. This is animal consciousness. Why? Because clearly it is said that one who identifies with his land of birth, is no better than a cow or an ass. This is spoken by Lord Krishna directly on the battlefield of Kurukshetra when he met the inhabitants of Vrindavan. After the Kurukshetra war and all, the inhabitants of Dwarka, Hastinapur, Vrindavan and so on, they all met during a lunar eclipse. See the irony here? They met during an auspicious lunar eclipse. And Lord Krishna spoke these words. He said that one who identifies himself with his land of birth, he sees his land of birth as worshipable. He's no better than a cow and an ass. And what are these words here again? What are they saying? Proud moment for India. India conquers the moon. Right? This is foolish. So this is not Lord Krishna's grace, not at all. This is a disgrace. It's a disgrace, complete disgrace. Because what does the Lord says in the Bhagavad-gītā? You see these pictures, the pictures of the moon, somehow or other, there's nobody. And it's all dusty, some rocks. It basically looks like any desert on our planet, but you just turn down the saturation and you get that. Anyone can replicate the exact same look going to any desert place, take a picture, you bring down the saturation so that it becomes a black and white picture, and you get that. Now, is that what they did? So, let's start with some verses from the Bhagavad-gītā. Okay, these are a segment from Easy Journey to Other Planet. This is a very important book also that Prabhupada has written concerning all these things. So, here, Dhūmo ratristhatha Kṛṣṇa sanmasa dakshinayanam tatra cāndramasaṁ jyotir yogī prāpya nivartate. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the moonlight, fortnight, or in the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, or who reaches the moon planet, again comes back. That means that there are people after leaving their body that take birth on moon. So the moon is inhabited. There is a civilization there. And they are much higher than us. They are demigods. Demigods are not a myth. They're not characters from some story or anything. They exist. If we want to be calling ourselves devotee, believer of God, we have to believe in these facts. That there's an established government, universal government, that has been established by the Lord in order to take charge of all these material affairs. The distribution of rain, the distribution of sunlight, the distribution of wind, of water. All these things are not done by simply independently moving chemicals, a chain of reaction. No. I might have a lighter here, some fire, I have some glass of water, I have some sand, I have some electric fan. If I want these elements to be moving, I need to put the touching spirit touch, which means a living entity has to handle these things. So if we believe in God, if we actually call ourselves devotees, we cannot deny the existence of demigods. Demigods are real as we are. But they exist on much, how can I say, in planes that are very difficult for us to understand. It is hard for us to comprehend. Just like when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, when you hear the demigods praying sometimes, or describing the status and how it is there, sometimes it is very, they speak in languages that seem to be very breaking the laws of physics. For example, the birth of some of the demigods, how they appeared in this world, their activities, how they move, how they talk, how they fight, all these things. They're not like us. So we should be humble to understand that we're very puny. We have a puny brain that is not capable of grasping all these things. And therefore, Shastra says, don't try to understand by your own intellect. Just hear. Hear submissively and you will know. So Vedic literature are there so that we can be guided, so that this propensity of try to understand everything with our own materially contaminated senses can be removed slowly. And in this age of Kali, it is so tough. And I would say that at the time that we live in, it is the hardest time ever. Because the atheistic influence is so great. And technological advancement has never been as good as it is now. Right? We have got all these computers, these cameras. I mean, we've got airplane, many things are there. Phones that just keep getting better and better every year. So we're very much puffed up of all these things. Material scientists, engineers, inventors. Wow, we got it. We can control this matter around us very well. We can shape it in the way that we want. So the egotistic, idea of thinking that we are God, we can control everything, has never been felt as hard as it is now. And if you ask any university students, can you speak of God very freely at school? Is anybody speaking about that, or are you ashamed? Or everybody will tell you, no, people don't speak of God. God is like a topic for some villages who don't have brain and things like that. So it is very, very tough. It was not always like this. If we just go 150 years back, 200 years back, it was not like that. You could freely speak of God. People were God conscious, especially in India, even more than now. So it was not always like this. So the Lord is saying that there are some people that live on the moon planet. Okay, one can have doubt. It's not, it's not unusual to have doubt when we're presented with such thing. But one should continue to research and to read and to try to see whether or not this makes sense after all. Because after all, we're forced to be born. We're forced to come in this world. The laws of physics, we only discover them. Scientists say like that, we have discovered a new law of physics. And well, if you're discovering it, you're obviously not the one who has created it. You are under those rules. So why is this so? So other verses, we can go see. So this is 15:13 Bhagavad-gītā. Gama vishya cha bhutani dharayamyaham ojasa pushnami chaushadhihi sarvah somo bhudvara satmakah. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So, this is a point that Prabhupada often stressed, that how is it that due to the moon, vegetables are flourishing, the juice of life. Why fruits, vegetables have got this nice juicy textures? It's because of the moonshine. Evening time, night time, when the moon shines on the vegetables, it increases the juicy nature of fruits and vegetables. So how is it that the king of vegetables, the moon, has got no vegetables on its surface? Does that make sense? Just like, let's say, what is that? The Malayam, some forest that does this tree, right? What is that? I think that the Malayam tree or the sandalwood. Anyway, so if you, let's say, take sandalwood and you export to different countries, and people know that this sandalwood comes from that specific forest. Now, would you expect that if you go to that forest, it's only a desert? How can sandalwood comes from that place and I go there and there's absolutely no trees? No. So similarly, if the juice of life, if those vegetables are so full of energy and so on, how can we say that the moon is simply dust and rocks? So before we proceed a bit further, we'll give a chance to maybe those who have joined this lecture with a very scientific-minded attitude, and we'll go first of all with some of the facts that are visible to our eyes and ears concerning this topic. So you see this, we'll come back to these pictures later. So these pictures here, okay, because when I started my Krishna consciousness, I also was sort of in shock of hearing that they never went to the moon and so on, okay? So what I did, I went to NASA.com and I searched the moon landing pictures and I downloaded some of them, and I can swear, I'm telling you, at that time there were plenty of pictures. There were so many, and now, just today, before this lecture, I've gone again and look, Apollo 11 image gallery, and this is all they have. Okay, one picture here, and then some stuff, some CDs, paintings and so on. But a little square here, one here, one. So how many is it? 5 now? 6? Okay, 7 maybe. Okay, let's give them 8, 9, 10. Okay, 11. So you're going so far, right? You're going to the moon and you're just going to take 11 pictures? Now people take more pictures of their meal than this. How is it that you're going so far away and you're only going to be bringing 11 pictures? No, there used to be much, much more. And just see, the picture that I downloaded, especially those that I found some inebriaties in, are no longer here. Now you will have to take my word for that. I was in this exact same website, this exact same page, Apollo 11 Gallery, and I downloaded so many. And why I did that is because I had seen this video of this guy online, because obviously after hearing that they never went to the moon and so on, I was thinking, wow, did I get cheated all this time thinking that they actually never went to the moon? So I started to do some research. I started to watch videos, and I saw a video of this guy who did that. He went onto the NASA website, he downloaded a picture, and he started to tweak with the contrast and so on, and then you could see some artifacts in the picture that clearly showed that this picture was edited. So after seeing that, then I was like, okay, I'll do the same thing. And I went on the NASA website, I downloaded a whole bunch of pictures, and I started to tweak with every single one of them. And I'm going to show you a couple of them now. So this is one of them, okay? One of the pictures that I guess they so-called took while they were going around the moon, or I don't know, they don't seem to be on the moon, but this is one of the pictures that was there on the now. So if we start to tweak, we increase the brightness. Okay, then we start to see some artifacts here. Okay, so of course now one may say this is not a big thing, maybe it's just some dust in the lens and things like that. So this one is not that obvious. So we'll go to others. This one here. So this one is very obvious, very fast. You see this? So this I downloaded from the NASA website. So you can clearly see here around the so-called Earth is a nice, square, cut off square, and here you have this whole different shade of black, which is actually a bit bluish, and when we boost it pops out and all. So this I downloaded from the NASA website. So what is the necessity? If you're going there and you're taking so many pictures, what's the necessity of faking it? So when I saw this, I was convinced, because I did it myself. I downloaded that and I saw that, yes, these people are cheaters. They are giving us pictures that are completely rubbish. It's not real. Then I believe there was another one. I don't know if it's this one. There was another one where we could see like the stars were kind of pasted or something. Okay, here we see some weird kind of different shades here, but someone might argue against that. I think. Anyway, so you've seen these pictures were edited. So that might not be enough to convince those who are too scientifically minded, but at least those who are intelligent will see that you're doing such a billions of dollars mission. You're going there, and how many pictures you're going to be showing us? 10 only? Why are you removing them? If you're actually going there and you're taking nice screenshots and everything, you should be pasting all over the internet and showing everybody. Why are you retracting more and more every year so that you only have 10 on your website? They're hiding something. And they're putting all these pictures of, we're preparing to go there, and we've got this little nice drawing and painting and this and that. So immediately there should be a question mark, a huge question mark as to why they're doing this. Now, I will be showing you this video here. This is a documentary that is called "A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon." Okay, you can go watch it all on YouTube if you want. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. Okay. Oh, sorry. Sure. So here, yeah. A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. So you can watch all this. So this is some so-called footage of the moon. And one thing here, okay, just look at it. Just look how it looks fake. Do we ever see a horizon that looks so close? When you're in a type of hill like this, you would be seeing, the horizon go far and far and far and far. You will be seeing like valleys and other mountains, and plus if there's no so-called atmosphere, as they say, there's no air pollution, you will be able to see so far. And look, it looks just like the horizon. You can run there only. And then you might say, oh, they might be on the top of a cliff or thing like. No, the whole all around is all like this. You can see here they take the picture. It looks like right there. This is not far, it's not like we're seeing like miles and miles of different terrains and ups and downs and a lot of, and it becomes small and small. It looks like it's right there. That's one thing. There's never a picture like this. You go anywhere on a mountain or then you take a picture, it doesn't look like that. The horizon is much higher than that. Or the moon is like 2 kilometers wide or something. Okay, so here, you see this flag here. So he's moving it.
At least twice, on the atmosphereless moon. We can only guess that most of the mission...
So you see how okay, at first he turns it. Yeah, he turns the pole. That I don't disagree. He's turning it towards the right. Right? So he's turning it. But then why is all of a sudden the American flag, boom, blown away like this? Again, you see how it's blown back? The flag is moving. It's not that he turned the pole again. You see? So again, I'll play it. So he's turning it, and then whoo, it blows again. So why is there wind on the moon? Okay, now something else that I'll show you. Okay, again, just see how the horizon looks so weird. Now they're saying they have got like spotlight. No, they're supposed to have landed when the sun was bright. You're not gonna go on the moon on a complete dark side, you know. They're supposed to land in the place where the sun was there. So how is it that it looks like a spotlight? You see how bright it is there and how dark it is here. If it's the sun, it should be bright everywhere, the same brightness. All this looks very fake. And this guy looks like he's just jogging normally. You know, if you accelerate it, that's what they're trying to show here, is that normally they show like it's supposed to be very slow like this, you see? But if you just run and slow it down, it looks the same. So there's a couple of things. Now the thing I really want to be showing you, look, they say this film of the Apollo 11 mission was produced as a report film by the Manned Spacecraft Center and is not for general public distribution. So somehow or other, the people who have done this, one moment, just want to make sure that the people who have done this documentary, they managed to get their hands onto this film. So you see the astronaut in the so-called space station, and this you see the blue pearl floating in the darkness of space. At least this is what they try to make us believe. So here we have this nice round shape, so he's spinning his thing. Okay, so okay, you see this? This is supposed to be the globe, okay, seen from space as they left orbit or as they were coming back. Okay, now you see, okay, listen to this. I guess I'll have to play it as a video so that you can hear the audio better. Video file. Okay, just one second, because if you hear the audio, it'll be better. So please bear with me for just a second. Okay, so I'm playing it now. So here we go.
They were said to be walking on the moon. How can this be when they were in Earth orbit only 9 hours earlier?
Okay.
Here is the slate for the 19th of July. And the same shot of trickery on the 19th of July. And then the 20th. And the same misleading shot on the 20th. Later that evening, they were said to be walking on the moon. How can this be when they were in Earth orbit only 9 hours earlier, and the moon is some 3 days' journey away? Furthermore, if they genuinely went to the moon, why would they be faking any part of it? Why this trickery with the window? By faking being halfway to the moon, it becomes apparent that they did so because they could not even go halfway. It thus confirms that the stumbling block to their success was the lethal radiation of...
So there's this belt that's called the Van Allen belt that surrounds all of that surrounds our Earth, and the first astronaut who actually really tried to pierce that belt described that the particles of this belt were going through the spacecraft, going through their spacesuit, and even though they were closing their eyes, it was going through their eyelid, and with their eyes closed, they were seeing sparks, you know, of like fire in their eyes. Pierce, that means that those particles were so fine and, you know, lethal that they were piercing everything, and they were coming all the way to their retina, and they could see these things. And this is the reason why they, you know, nobody can actually go beyond that. So this is not actually what I... Now the lady, she talked about faking it, right? Because you see what they're saying here.
Okay, very good. Well, we shut out the sun coming in some of the other windows into the spacecraft, so it's looking through the number 1 window, and there isn't any reflected light.
Did you understand that? You see, we shut out the sun coming in some of the other windows into the spacecraft so that the inside walls do not show. So actually this dark area here are the walls of inside the spacecraft, and this is just a round window, and they have stuck something on top to make it look like it's the shadow of the Earth, you know. So
through the the number one window, and there isn't any reflected light.
The reason this was done is so that the truth of the matter would not be revealed. It is this. Though the federal government would have you believe that this is a view of Earth from a distance out of the spacecraft's window as it nears the moon, it is not. What they have ingeniously done is placed the camera at the back of the spacecraft and centered the lens on a circular window in the foreground, outside of which it is completely filled with the Earth in low orbit. The circumference of the window then appears to be the diameter of the Earth at a distance, with the darkened walls of the spacecraft appearing to be the blackness of space around it. That is why they wanted the interior dark and blocked out the sun from entering through the other windows.
So I'll fast forward to the time where we see actually this happening, where they will be turning on the lights and all, and the magic trick will be revealed. So it's a bit hard to do in that player.
Hi, Roger. Houston, Apollo 11. Calling in from about 130,000 miles out.
Here, during another segment, also intended to air after review, Neil Armstrong falsely explains to the viewers how the shot is attained by putting the camera's lens to the window's glass, as it would have to be if they were the claimed distance away from the Earth.
We only have one window that has a view of the Earth, and it's filled up with the TV camera.
If the window was completely filled up with a TV camera, as he stated, then an astronaut's arm would not be able to get between the camera and the window, as it obviously does here in this outtake.
South America becomes invisible just off beyond the Terminator or inside the shadow.
You can also notice how the astronaut operating the camera reacted to the mistake by attempting to pan away from it.
Blue gas, see white bands of major cloud formations across the Earth.
This is a segment that they believed wasn't even being recorded, much less suitable for broadcast, for the lens was being zoomed out and the scene was being changed to that of an interior of the astronauts at work, and apparently the stop button popped back up on the recorder without notice.
So you notice in the top left corner, these are other lights that are within the cabin.
Here is the diffused work light that they used to see camera controls, but not throw light onto the spacecraft's wall. Here they remove part of the crescent insert. Finally, the iris is opened up and you can see the real location of the camera and the very bright and near Earth out the window. Here is the slate for the 19th of July, and the same shot of trickery on the 19th of July, and then the 20th, and the same misleading shot on the 20th. Later that evening, they were said to be walking on the moon. How can this be when...
So, alright, so you see, so how are you going to trust people like this? If the NASA, which is like the most renowned space agency, with the leading country in the whole world, is capable of cheating you like that, how do you not know that others can do it too? China with its rover on Mars, now India with its rover on the moon. How can we believe them? And plus nowadays, when you have like this technology that you can fake things so easily, you know, now the CGI in movie is so advanced. Now you've got all this this crazy artificial intelligence that even us common people, we can just go on ChatGPT or Mid-Journey and you just type something and you get a photoreal thing. You know, now we see it all over the internet. Even the devotees are doing this with Lord Kṛṣṇa. Like you go on Facebook and Instagram and all, you see all some AI generated pictures of Radha Kṛṣṇa. Is it not? I'm sure you've noticed, right? They just go on this Mid-Journey and you input something and boom, you get a picture that appears almost real. You can fake so many things. So we live in an age of deception. And there's this deep fake also that exists. Do you know about this deep fake? That they can take any face of any celebrity and make him speak and, you know, turn around and walk like that. They tried to do that in the war against Ukraine. There was this deep fake of the Ukrainian president who was saying like, I think like, okay, withdraw and I'll stop fighting like that. And they tried to distribute that to the Ukrainian soldiers to demoralize them, and it didn't work. Anyway, so that's my point. How can we trust these people who are full of it, cheating us left, right, center, and the whole world also? And you know, I haven't shown you how they looked after that, but we can see. If you're going to the moon and you are doing this on behalf of your country, and I mean you're coming back, you should be one of the happiest person on the planet. You've been on the moon, you know, you're all puffed up and all. You've done it. Now the whole world knows you're you're the king. But look at their faces. Look at how they look in the press conference. They look like completely depressed, man. Their soul looks completely shattered, you know. How can I lie to the entire world? That's the face on that's the look on their face. They don't look like happy people who, you see, downcasted faces, lost in thoughts. What am I doing, you know? And who knows what they're telling these people? If you tell the truth, we'll kill your family, or you know, these things happen. And look at this speech, okay? Okay, I have to play it again. This is Neil Armstrong, obviously, addressing university graduates. Okay, you listen to what he's saying. He feels bad to have lied to the entire world, and he's trying to help the next generation to somehow or other. Okay, look.
11 astronauts also resigned shortly after their return.
11 astronauts shortly. What is that? What did she say?
Of his career. All 3 Apollo 11 astronauts also resigned shortly after their return.
They resigned shortly after their return. The 3 of them. Look at them at the press conference.
25th anniversary of the event in 1994. Okay. Neil Armstrong.
1994. Neil Armstrong addressing.
Made a rare public appearance and held back tears as he spoke these brief cryptic remarks before the next generation of taxpayers as they toured the White House.
Today we have with us a group of students among America's best. To you we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
Great breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of those truth protective layers. Why is he speaking in cryptic code like this? To those who can remove one of the truth's protective layers. You see? He's feeling so ashamed to have lied to the entire planet, and he's trying to somehow or other, you know, let people know that what he's done is wrong. So, okay, so that's it. And later on, I'll be showing another clip showing a lot of the falsity of this moon landing. But first of all, let us go back to Shastra. Now I've done that, but this is not actually the way that we should be learning about these things. Although for neophytes it is useful because it shows us. I've done that for other topics too. For example, of course we won't be touching of this topic now, but Adolf Hitler. What did we think of Hitler before becoming devotees? We thought that he was the greatest demon and so on. So it turned out that it's not the same story that actually occurred. We have learned that from Hollywood movies and those who wrote the history books, right? Anyway, this is something else. But the real way that we should address this topic is through Shastra. So let us go now. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 3:32-3. Such materialist persons attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods can be elevated to the moon, where they drink an extract of the soma plant. They again return to this planet. So on the moon planet, there are some objects of sense gratification that are unknown to us. For example, this soma juice that we hear so much in the Vedas. And it has nothing to do with the liquor and the mode of ignorance that is found here on this planet. And this is described by Srila Prabhupada. The demigods would not drink this alcohol that we find here. No. So this drink that they have is definitely in the mode of goodness. It is not an intoxicant like we understand. So Srila Prabhupada says the moon is considered one of the planets of the heavenly kingdom. One can be promoted to this planet by executing different sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literature, such as pious activities in worshipping the demigods and forefathers with rigidity and vows. But one cannot remain there for a very long time. Life on the moon is said to last 10,000 years according to the calculation of the demigods. The demigods' time is calculated in such a way that one day, 12 hours, is equal to 6 months on this planet. In other words, their 24 hours is 1 year for us. So, according to that, 10,000 years, right? It is not possible to reach the moon by any material vehicle like a Sputnik. Again, it is not possible to reach even. You cannot reach the moon by any material vehicle like a Sputnik. But persons who are attracted by material enjoyment can go to the moon by pious activities. In spite of being promoted to the moon, however, one has to come back to this earth again when the merits of his works and sacrifice are finished. So this is confirmed in that verse of the Bhagavad-gītā, that one can go up and then he's coming back. Okay. So that is 9:11. When they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering happiness. So, moon is one of the heavenly planets. It is a beautiful planet, even from far away. How beautiful it is. When you go outside and you look at the moon, isn't it pretty? Isn't it nice? We all look at it, especially a nice full moon in a clear sky. We look at it and we're like, wow, it looks like glowing pearl, And then they go there, and it's some dark dust, with no glow at all. Now you explain to me which light, as you get closer and closer, becomes more and more dim. Does that make sense? A beautiful moon shining in the night sky, and as you get closer it becomes dimmer, does it? It should become brighter and brighter and brighter. How does that happen? They cannot answer this fact. They'll tell you, because of the atmosphere and the proton and this and that. Yeah, that's all right. You can talk as much as you want, my friend. But I know that a source of light, even a reflective source of light, if you get closer to it, it gets brighter. That's all. Okay? Even like a mirror that reflects light. You're far away. You see it shine from very far in the night sky. Let's say you use a flashlight and a mirror, you reflect that. You'll see it. And as you get closer and closer, it just becomes brighter and brighter. So how is it that you step on it, you're right there, and there's absolutely no shininess? Not at all. How does that work? And not only that, moonshine. If moonshine was only the reflection of the sun, okay? Although in some places Prabhupada speaks of it reflecting the sunlight and so on, but in other places we understand that it's not as simple as like reflecting off a wall. It's like here I have a pink light. This is reflecting on the wall. It's not that simple as that, no. And the proof is here. In our śāstra, it is said that moonshine is cooling, the soothing moonshine. Just like the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. They are more soothing than millions of moons, right? So we learn that as in opposition to the sun, moon is soothing. So therefore, and you can make this experiment also. I'm going to show you this video here. Okay, so
the number one experiment everybody keeps telling me to do over again is this one, and I've actually done it at least 20 times. Okay, here we go, 45 degrees, 41 degrees. This is in the shadow of the moon. We have an extremely clear sky, a very bright moon, 43 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're going to go into the moonlight, 41 degrees. Doesn't matter where you are. Now I'm looking at a concrete slab and you say, well, there's uneven heating and cooling of the concrete slab, but I've done this in grass. I've done this experiment many times, countless times. In fact, this is a forward-looking infrared, 39 degrees. This is directly in the shadow. Now we'll go over here, 38 degrees. Always warmer in the shadow, or we can inversely say always cooler in the moonlight. So it's always cooler in the moonlight. Don't take my word for it. Get your own forward-looking infrared device. Perform the experiment yourself. You will always end up with the same results. Period. Doesn't matter if you do it in the grass. My last video, I did it in the grass. Right now I'm doing it in a concrete slab.
Okay, so you see that? You can make the experiment. You go out and you check, is the moonshine cooler than, and how are they going to explain that? Huh? These puffed up scientists, how are they going to explain that? That the sun rays that reflect on the moon and that shine all the way back are cooler. So, again and again, our śāstra are being confirmed, you know. So when we see things like this, experiments that support our Vedic scripture, then we can say that, you see, it is supported. But when we see things that go in opposition to our Vedic scripture, then we must immediately reject. When we have confirmation from śāstra, then we can say, we can support, yes, that is true, we agree with this. But if it goes against, we must reject. Very strongly, we must oppose. Because otherwise, everything is false. If the moon landing is possible, if they can go there out of their own whims and so on, then our śāstra is false. Then there's no Chandra. Chandra doesn't exist. He doesn't have his city. He doesn't have his descendants. And foolish Hindus now, they might say, oh, you know, we're very proud of this Chandrayaan and so on, so on. And some of them are like from Kshatriya descendants, right? Kshatriya caste. Well, Kshatriya caste means you come from the moon god or the sun god. So you don't even believe in your own forefathers and so on. The Kshatriyas, there's two families of Kshatriyas, Surya Vamsa and Chandra. So Chandra Vamsa. So yeah, so that is the two lunar and solar dynasty of the Kshatriya race. So you're not believing that there's actually a king of the moon and king of the sun and so on. Because the body develops according to the environment. This is what they're missing. They think that in order to produce life, you need this carbon and this whatever, you know, elements is constituted in our body. No, it's not like that. The spirit soul can exist in any of the elements. And that is said, Naidam chindanti shastrani, nainam pavati pavakaha, nachayanam kledayantyapo, what is that? Nashoshayati marutaha, I believe. So, the soul cannot be cut by any weapon, cannot be burned by fire, cannot be moistened by water, withered by the wind, and in this way. That means that the spirit soul can be into any type of elements. Now, according to the environment and so on, the body will be given. So again, let us go back to śāstra. Okay, so we have seen that. This is from Easy Journey to Other Planets. This is a book actually that Srila Prabhupada started to write before starting the Krishna consciousness movement. And if I'm not mistaken, the second part of that book, the second chapter, this one, was written after he started the Krishna consciousness movement, and he sort of added them together. I think we can maybe start from the first chapter. Okay, so the adaptability of organisms in different varieties of planets is described in the Brahma Samhita as vibhuti bhinnam. Each and every one of the innumerable planets within the universes is endowed with a particular type of atmosphere, and the living beings there are advanced in science, psychology, etc., according to the superiority or inferiority of the atmosphere. So there's superior atmospheres, there's inferior atmospheres, and according to that, the different bodily structures, psychological structures will be developed. The spirit soul is the same, but according to his karma, he's taking birth in different atmospheres, which will help him to develop a specific type of body. Just like spirit souls that develop their body in water will develop a fishy, right? Fish body, which is definitely inferior to the human body, and so on. So it's according to the atmosphere that the type of body is manifested. Vibhuti means specific power, and bhinnam means variegated. Scientists who are attempting to explore outer space in an attempt to reach other planets by mechanical means must realize that organisms adapted to the atmosphere of the Earth cannot exist in the atmospheres of other planets. And this is an established law of God. Kṛṣṇa has made this arrangement that these people live on this planet, these people live on that planet, and that is his law. If you're trying to undo that, you're trying to artificially go to some other planet, you're going against the instructions of Kṛṣṇa, and therefore you are irreligious. So all the Hindus, or even maybe the Muslims and so on, they're all praising this moon landing of India, but actually what they're doing is manifesting their irreligious propensities in defiance to God's order. As such, man's attempts to reach the moon, the sun, or Mars will completely be futile because of the different atmospheres prevailing on those planets. Individually, however, one can attempt to go to any planet he desires, but this is only possible by psychological changes in the mind. Mind is the nucleus of the material body. The gradual evolutionary progress of the material body depends on the psychological changes within the mind. Yes, everything manifests from subtle to gross, from more subtle to more gross. For example, how this universe is created is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. First, there is sound, and then sound has got only one propriety, which is ether. First is ether. It has the sound only, and then it becomes grosser. This is the wind that comes from ether. Wind has sound. We can hear wind and we can touch. The sense of touch becomes manifest. From wind comes fire, and this is the first manifested form that we can see with sight. Fire can be heard, it can be touched, and it can be seen. And from fire becomes the grosser element, which is water. Water adds the taste element. It can be heard, it can be touched, it can be seen, it can be tasted. And finally, it manifested to the grossest of all elements, which is earth. And earth adds the fragrance in this way. So everything comes from more subtle to more gross. So this body that we have got is the manifestation of our state of mind. And mind is even more subtle than ether itself. So I change my mental position, my mental situation, and that would become the blueprint for the next body that I will be given. So let's go back. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. The change of the bodily constructions of a worm into that of a butterfly, and in modern medical science, the conversion of a man's body into that of a woman, or vice versa, are more or less dependent on psychological changes. So this is very famous now. I don't know if you've seen, but in Russia they have stopped that a man can do some surgical operation to look more like a woman, or vice versa. So why is this occurring? Because first of all, the psychological change is there. That the man is thinking, no, now I'm woman. So because there's psychological changes, then it is manifested as a surgical operation, and I want to change and look more like a woman. Yeah. So yes. So by the way to go to the moon is by changing the gross body. There's no use in trying to go there with this body. It will not be successful. Materialistic-minded men who have no information of the kingdom of God are always mad after material acquisition of wealth, fame, and adoration. And this is all that this mission is about, nothing else. Such men are interested in the progressive well of their particular family unit for their own self-satisfaction, and so are also interested in the progress of social and national welfare. Actually, they don't care even for the moon. It could be the moon or Venus or some other things. It's simply about boasting that India is great now. We have finally caught up with other nations. Oh, America went there, China went there, Russia sent some Sputnik there. Oh, now India also, we're part of the club. We're also big. So it's simply some brushing of the ego, It's some ego gratification. That's the only thing. These men attain their desired objects by material activities. They are mechanically engaged in the ritualistic discharge of prescribed duties, and are consequently inclined to satisfy the pitas, or bygone forefathers, and controlling demigods by performance of sacrifices as prescribed in the revealed scriptures. Addicted to such acts of sacrifices and ceremonial observances, such souls enter into the moon after death. So here we're speaking of pious souls who are actually believing in the words of the śāstra, because unless you've got faith, why would you do all these yagyas that are recommended in Vedic literature? Unless you have faith that at least life continues after death. So even though these people have been described in Bhagavad-gītā as less intelligent because they worship demigod, they go to the demigod instead of Kṛṣṇa, still they are more intelligent than modern day rascals who try to go to the moon by means of Sputnik, because at least they believe in śāstra. They know that this life will continue after death. I can go to heaven if I want sense gratification, there will be better life there. So they're foolish, but less foolish than those people who cheered when this so-called thing landed on the so-called moon. When one is thus promoted to the moon, he receives the capacity to enjoy the drinking of somarasa, a celestial beverage. The moon is a place where the demigod Chandra is the predominating deity. So there's a king there, there's a person, a very pious living entity who is called Chandra. And he's the presiding deity of the moon planet. Now he's the king there. Do you think that the king enjoys in the desert? Do you think that he's there and there's just some sand and he does nothing else? He has his servants, he has his palace, he has his city, he has his attendant, he has his animals, he has his family, he has his places of enjoyment, he has his different chariots, he has his... everything is there. Full variety. The atmosphere and amenities of life there are far more comfortable and advantageous than those here on Earth. After reaching the moon, if a soul does not utilize the opportunity for promotion to better planets, he is degraded and forced to return to Earth or a similar planet. Yes. So, this continues. Prabhupada speaks a lot about the moon here. So, that is that. Then, he continues in the second chapter. The purpose of our Krishna consciousness movement is to propagate this advanced scientific idea to people in general, and the process is very simple. Oh, sorry, this is not the place. One moment. In these days, when men are trying to go to the moon, people should not think that Krishna consciousness is concerned with something old-fashioned. This is exactly what people think. You pray, you stay in the temple doing your prayers. You're old-fashioned. You're, backward. Us who are, building the spacecraft, we can go to the moon. We're at the very cutting edge of human civilization. We are pushing human civilization forward. This is what they think. When the world is progressing to reach the moon, we are chanting Hare Krishna. But people should not misunderstand and assume that we are lagging behind modern scientific advancement. No way. We are the most scientifically advanced, because simply by vibrating this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the most subtle form of science, we can be transferred to a planet that is much, 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 much higher than the moon. So this is science. Science means what? First of all, science means what? They think that science means, telescopes, microscopes, all their tools and everything. You have to play with some big toys. That is science for them. Science means theory and practice. That's what science means. Even if you cannot put it under your microscope, because they cannot put this Hare Krishna Mahamantra under the microscope. They cannot see the psychological change from the mode of ignorance to the mode of goodness that takes place when one chants Hare Krishna under their microscope. They don't believe in it. And why don't you believe? All these people, who, like Prabhupada's first disciples, they were all drug addicts. And then they started to chant Hare Krishna and they all changed. Why don't you believe? Why don't you see? I myself also, I was, degraded, smoking, drinking, all these things. And simply by chanting of Hare Krishna, how I can give up all these things? How I can develop faith in Shastra and so on? So are we to lack faith in this scientific process of chanting Hare Krishna? But because it's so subtle, gross materialistic. There's gross materialistic, there's subtle materialistic. Gross materialistic are those who big machine, bang, bang, big rocket. This is gross materialistic. And then there's subtle materialistic. They know that by means of vibration, chanting mantras, offering ghee into the yagya, and so on, they will be promoted. It's all a science. It's described in the Shastra, How by offering the ghee into the fire, it becomes a type of celestial smoke, and that smoke is transported upward. We throw grains and all, and so on. I don't remember where I read that. I think it's in one of the 4 Vedas or something. And it's described all, you throw the grains, and then these offerings that you make in the yagya, they go in celestial smoke, and they go all the way somehow. They come in touch with different elements. Just like if you want to go somewhere, I take a bus, then I take, I've been reading without sharing the screen just now. Anyway, so I take a bus, then I'll take the subway, then I'll take an airplane, then I'll reach Paris. Okay, so similarly, there's a subtle way of traveling also. That these offerings of ghee and grains in the fire, they come in touch with different elements to go to these planets. It comes in touch, for example, with the moonshine, and then with akasha, which is ether, and then the wind, like that black. I don't remember the order, but it was described. So that's why I say sometimes these Vedic is so advanced, but it's just a subtle science that to us, it makes no sense. It's just some blabbling there because we're just not intelligent enough to understand. That's all. But then these offerings go up, and then they even grasp like the day or the night. So day and night are also subtle objects that can be even touched by scientific means. So these offerings go like that, and all the way they go to the planets of the demigods, and these offerings become different objects of enjoyments for them. So we always hear that the demigods took their share of sacrifice. They took their share of sacrifice. What does that mean? I used to hear that. What is a share of sacrifice? They put ghee in the fire. What do they take? They take a lot of ghee home, or they're not. What is it? It's simply that they get things. They actually get things. For example, like it is said that Indra has got like millions of maid servants. So these maid servants are added when people worship Indra. By these Vedic ritual, Vedic sacrifice, Indra gets more maid servants. He gets more power. He gets more this and that. So like that. And not only this, even in the Bhagavad-gītā, what is it said? That verse that we quoted, that yogi who passes away during the night, the fortnight, the waning moon, when the sun travels. Why? What is the meaning there? There's a different path that he's going to be taking when he leaves the body. When the soul leaves the body, he can be taking the highway of night. He can be taking the highway of the sunlight in this way. So there's different ways of travel that we're not aware of. And Prabhupada said like that. He said that great yogis, they can use sun rays to travel. So sunbeams, so sunbeams are actual physical objects that if one is advanced enough in the controlling of his environment, because everything is energy after all, if you manage to manipulate that, you're capable to using these sun rays as a highway, as a street to travel. Or Prabhupada said that some yogis, they are in the Himalayas and they take a dip in the Ganges, and then they emerge at the Kumbh Mela. Just like that. By traveling in the Ganges, they just dip and boom, they come up like that. So he's taking a road. He's taking a highway. Do you know how to do that? You're going to bring your scientists in with their microscope and how is the Ganges? What do they say? Ganges is one of the most polluted river in the world. They say like that. This is their conclusion, those rascal atheists. Then why is it that people live next to the Ganges almost never fall sick? Every day they take bath in the Ganges and they're so healthy. If you're saying it's the most polluted, they should all be dying. But you're back home scratching your head, sitting on your sofa, drinking all this Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, putting all this nasty stuff into your body, not wiping after going to the bathroom and all, and you're going to teach us about what is clean, what is not? So we should not learn from these rascals. We have to have faith in our śāstra. Okay, let's continue. Sharing. We have already passed all scientific advancement. In Bhagavad-gītā, it is said that man's attempt to reach higher planets is not new. Newspaper headlines read man's first steps on the moon. But the reporters do not know that millions and millions of men went there and came back. This is not the first time. This is an ancient practice. So this is how foolish this modern civilization is. They have no idea that this is done by bygone ages. Millions and billions of people have done that. They've been there already and they came back. And these facts were accepted before in Vedic culture, when the age of Kali was not so rampant. Before the age of Kali Yoga, when people had faith actually in their scriptures. In Bhagavad-gītā 8.16, it is clearly stated, Abrahma bhuvanal loka punaravartino Arjuna. My dear Arjun, even if you go to the highest planetary system, which is called Brahmaloka, you will have to come back. Therefore, interplanetary travel is not new. It is known to the Krishna conscious devotees. Yes, we learn. Even in Mahabharata, where did Arjuna go? He went to see his father Indra. Now you might say, oh, you see, Arjuna did it. Why you say we cannot do it? Yes, Arjuna did it. Arjuna, not your grandfather. So Arjuna did it because he is a completely pure living entity. Therefore, he can go. And actually, it was praised that how, even the demigods, they were looking at Arjuna. How is it that this human has come to heaven in his very own body? How has he done that? So because he's transcendental to the three modes, he's pure. Even Maharaj Yudhishthira at the end, the end of the Mahabharata, right? How Sahadev fell first, Draupadi, Sahadev, Nakula, Arjuna failed, Bhima failed, and he all pointed out as to which little sin he had done, and he alone went back in his very own body. And when he reached heaven, he saw all his brothers, his wife were there in heaven, and he took dip into a celestial lake there, and then he got his body got transformed again into celestial body and so on. Of course, the Pandavas are pure devotee; their body are transcendental. But these are the pastimes. So interplanetary travel is there in all of our Vedic śāstra. It is there. Demigods used to come to see the sacrifice of great kings. And great personality used to go to other planetary system. Bhima, he was transported to a lower planetary system. It's not that there's just up, there's down also. He went to the Nagaloka when he was attempted to be killed by Bhima, by Duryodhana. He was thrown into the river, and then somehow there was a subterranean link or something, and he emerged there with the Nagas. So we have to believe these things. These are not stories, for children. This is actually the history of great devotees in our universe. Universal happenings. So, how? Okay. I think I was reading again without sharing, right? Okay. So, where else? Now someone has gone to the moon, but what will human society gain from it? Of course, Prabhupada says like that. Actually, he's not. He's saying even if they have gone, actually. But what will human society gain from it? If, after spending so much money, so much energy, and then 10 years of effort, one goes to the moon and simply touches it, what is the benefit of that? Can one remain there and call his friends to come? And even if one goes there and remains, what will be the benefit? As long as we are in this material world, either on this planet or that or other planets, the same miseries, birth, death, old age, and disease will follow us. We cannot rid ourselves of them. If we go to live on the moon, assuming it is possible even, with an oxygen mask, how long could we stay? Furthermore, even if we had the opportunity to stay there, what would we gain? We might gain a little longer life perhaps, but we could not live there forever. That is impossible. So now Prabhupada is just Prabhupada is taking the other course of action, saying that even if you go there, what is the use? So this is a fact. Even if you go there, there's no use. But first of all, they are not even going there. They're not. They cannot go there. It's not possible. Why is that? Because first of all, the moon is much further away than what they're telling us. We'll read another verse from the Bhagavatam concerning the moon and a planet which is very intimately in the sense that it is very closely related to the moon, but not in a good manner. So it is the Rahu planet. So here it is said, Krishna consciousness means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. Such observation is not always possible, but it becomes manifest exactly like the dark planet known as Rahu, which is observed in the presence of the full moon. So this Rahu planet is invisible, but somehow or other in the presence of the full moon it can be seen. So we're going to see in the purport. Now, Rahu, do they know about this planet, this dark planet which is near the moon? Has anybody spoken, those modern scientists? Yet, in our Vedic astronomy, anyway, when one reads the chart, just like we have got our good friend Subala Prabhu from Singapore, so he's a good, he can read the astrological charts of people. So it is seen how the Rahu planet influences. And every single time that there's a lunar eclipse, the Rahu planet perfectly fits there. You can see it move. So how would it be possible for someone to input some mathematical equation that will make the planet Rahu spin again and again, and that every single solar eclipse or lunar eclipse, the Rahu planet comes perfectly there? It's not possible to find that equation. How you can do that, with all the spinning? So, but it's there. We know where it is, although it is not visible to the naked eye. So, in this connection, Prabhupada says, the darkness occurring before the full moon, the lunar eclipse, can be explained as being another planet known as Rahu. So when there's a lunar eclipse, we can understand that Rahu is coming between the sun and the moon. According to Vedic astronomy, the Rahu planet, which is not visible, is accepted. Sometimes the Rahu planet is visible in the presence of full moonlight. It then appears that this Rahu planet exists somewhere near the orbit of the moon. The failure of the modern moon excursionists, okay, this is important here. The failure of the modern moon excursionists may be due to the Rahu planet. In other words, those who are supposed to be going to the moon may actually be going to this invisible planet Rahu. Actually, not just suppose, actually, they're not going to the moon, but to the planet Rahu. And after reaching this planet, they come back. So any so-called, if they actually at all going, which I doubt, but even if they send those spacecraft, this unmanned spacecraft, let's say, and they are actually landing somewhere outside of our planets, then they are going to Rahu. That's all. Apart from this discussion, the point, okay, so that's it. So, are we going to have faith in this? Huh? Now the Acharya sent by Kṛṣṇa is telling us this. Actually, they're not going to the moon, but to the planet Rahu. Okay? Are we going to have faith in this? Or are we going to be doing this? We're going to be doing this. What is that? Huh? By Krishna's grace, by Lord Krishna's grace, Chandrayaan-3 conquers the moon, right? Conquers the moon. You conquered Soma and all his family and everything. Setting a new chapter in India's history. You're putting ISKCON. That means what? You are putting your rubber stamp that this is endorsed by devotees. This is endorsed by Vaishnavas. Because anybody that will see that, oh, you see, ISKCON Dwarka is supporting that. Wow, that means that in their book, it must be written that yes, you can go to the moon, and Srila Prabhupada must have been in favor of that. Otherwise, how can his followers be speaking like this? But Prabhupada is saying, no, they don't go there. They go to Rahu if they go anywhere at all. If. A big if is there. Huh? And then they show you this nonsense thing with this nonsense Indian flag. Tell me, where do you find this flag in Shastra? Where does this flag come from? What is this color? What do they represent? Huh? Indian. What is this Indian word? India. India means like aborigine, you know that? This was given by the this is funny, you know, Indians are proud, but then India means some tribal people. This was given by the white men who thought themselves, you know, superior. Oh, white men are going to India, all these Indians are inferior, you know. There's like tribal people and call them Indians. Indian were supposed to be the Amerindian, North Amerindians, you know. India, the greatest culture ever, Vedic culture, has been tagged as a tribe, and you're carrying this name very nicely, India. You haven't, to change the name of Bharat was one of the greatest mistakes India could have done, concerning, of course, historical. Anyway, so, and Hindus, another thing given by foreigners, by Muslims, and they're calling themselves, we're Hindus, Indians, and they're very proud. Completely not guided. Why? Because everybody's a Shudra now. Shudra means he's got no intelligence. He cannot discriminate what is right and what is wrong. And we see that devotees in our own movement also are still Shudras. They cannot elevate themselves to the platform of a Brahmana. Only a Shudra will make something like that, a post like this. What is that? A Brahmana means what? What is it? What are the Brahmanical qualifications? My friend? Second initiation you have, right? Very nice. Second initiation you have. You have the sacred thread, yeah? Okay, that's good. Being purified... sorry. What is that? PG 18? Yeah. Sorry, huh? Okay, yes. Shamodamastapa shaucham kshantirarjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom and knowledge. What is that? Jnanam vijnanam. What is this wisdom? Wisdom means knowledge based on Shastra. That is wisdom. Not knowledge based following the Shudras who go make these moon-like landing experiment. Not like that. So in other words, a Brahmana must have this Gyan. So first of all, he must know Shastra very well. And Vigyan. What does that mean? He must be speaking on the strength of śāstra. He must have faith and speak on the authority of śāstra. Like that. Not that I'll make this pose here. That is not Vigyan. That is Agyan. No. You are situated in ignorance, my friend. Proud to be more problem in ISKCON Dwarka, New Delhi. This is a shame for the Vaishnava world. A shame. And not just New Delhi. We have got someone else here. Akshaya Patra Foundation. The Vikram lander touched down just after 1:30 GMT on 23rd August. Why they're sharing this? Don't you read Prabhupada books? So this is Agyan, Shudra. This is what the Shudra do. Shudra are misled, no brain. Therefore, Brahmana must guide. And I'm sorry to say, I was very, seeing the President of India also feeling very proud, that yes, he had his flag, right? And he was saying we have landed. Of course, when it comes to trying to differentiate between karmis, he's more pious than others, no doubt about that, President of India. But he's also an illusion. Because he is not guided by Brahmanas. A Brahmana will see things through Shastra and will say, my dear sir, just give up this moon landing thing, this moon mission, is nonsense. My dear sir, don't you know that Ravana wanted to do the same thing? Ravana wanted to build a staircase. Is it Ravan or Hiranyakashipu? Anyway, but he's a Ravan, right? Big demon. He wanted to build a staircase to the... So that was his technology back then, staircase. Staircase to the heavenly planets. He wanted that. So, or staircase or lift or whatever you call it. Same thing, same endeavor. Let me break, I'm conditioned here. I'm on that planet here, under the laws, Let me break those laws. Let me defy the Lord. You put me under this so-called gravity thing. No, I will show you how I can break loose. Kṛṣṇa has put you conditioned and you're trying to fight back. This is a demonic propensity. So because he's not guided by Brahmanas, therefore he's also fooled. So this is a great disgrace and proud moment for India. This is not a proud moment at all. This is not a proud. This is going away from Bhagavad-gītā. You cannot be supporting Chandrayaan and mission and at the same time speaking of Bhagavad-gītā. Not possible. So that is the state of our movement now. And of course this is another topic, but the fact is that most devotees in our movement cannot become bona fide Brahmanas because their spiritual masters cannot make them bona fide Brahmanas. Only a real spiritual master can turn someone into a Brahmana. But fake spiritual master who are not Brahmanas themselves, they cannot do that. So, okay, let us continue. So, they're not going to the moon, they're going to the Rahu. This is Bhagavatam 2.3.11. All the different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods can attain the highest perfectional benediction, which is spontaneous attraction, unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only by the association of a pure devotee of the Lord. So, yeah. This struggle for existence is something like following the will-o'-the-wisp under the spell of material enjoyment. All plans for material enjoyment, either by worship of different demigods as described in the previous verses of this chapter, or by modernized advancement of scientific knowledge without the help of God or demigod, are illusory only. For despite all such plans for happiness, the conditioned living being within the compass of material creation can never solve the problems of life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. The history of the universe is full of such plan makers, and many kings and emperors come and go leaving a plan making story only. But the prime problems of life remain unsolved, despite all endeavors for such plan makers. So yeah, big endeavor, millions of dollars, big computers, let us send this to the moon, so much endeavor, everybody day and night, just thinking about this, making plans and all. And then, boom, see some little numbers, oh, it's landed, yeah, we made it, yeah. Everybody start to cheer. Foolish civilization, foolish. We should completely, reject that. It's important for us to completely reject that and not associate with anybody that supports this kind of nonsense. Otherwise, we won't make genuine spiritual progress. You want to be one leg here, one leg there. Sorry, my friend. That's why Prabhupada was so much against these universities. He did not want us to send our children to universities. For this, how are our children going to be convinced of our Shastra when they're surrounded by classmates who all will be praising this Chandrayaan and further missions and so on? And what do they gain anyway? Okay, they went to the moon, let's say, the Americans. They brought back some rocks. what's the thing? And then you're going there and same thing, some rocks also, I touched it. It's all a boasting thing, only I touched it. I'm proud, Indian, we did it also. Big man, American, we went first. Russian, we went first. It's a trip of ego only. Apart from the gross materialists who care very little either for God or for the demigods, the Vedas recommend worship of different demigods for different benefits. And so the demigods are neither false nor imaginary. The demigods are as factual as we are. They exist. But they are much more powerful due to their being engaged in the direct service of the Lord in managing different departments in the universal government. Yes, much more powerful and very spiritually advanced too, as opposed to us. Even though Shastra says, demigods are, they're contaminated in their desire and this and that. Okay, you're not, my friend. You're not. Huh? You're free from material desire. Is it? Is it that cheap to be free from material desire? At least the demigod have got direct. They're 100% convinced that God exists. They go see Brahma and Brahma meditates and many times Vishnu came right in front of them. Demigods. They're very exalted persons. Demigod, they're just, I'm a big devotee. I believe in everything, I'm self-realized, but demigod, material attached. And you don't even have faith that demigods exist, that's the problem. The Bhagavad-gītā affirms this, and the different planets of the demigods are mentioned there, including the one of the supreme demigod, Lord Brahma. The gross materialists do not believe in the existence of God or the demigods, nor do they believe that different planets are dominated by different demigods. Exactly. You're going to tell Chandra, do you know that Chandra lives on the moon? What do you mean? Chandra lives on the moon. We've sent a rover there. We see it's only dust, Stop believing these stories for kids, please. They are creating a great commotion about reaching the closest celestial body, Chandraloka, or the moon. But even after much mechanical research, they have only very scanty information of this moon. It's a fact, scanty information. What is that? Dust. Same. Is there any different type of element? No. Every single element that's been discovered on the moon, we have it on Earth also. Oh, is that all you found out? Yes, sir. Okay, great. Have fun. And in spite of much false advertisement for selling land on the moon, the puffed up scientists or gross materialists cannot live there. And what to speak of reaching the other planets, which they are unable even to count. So, it appears that in Prabhupada's time there was some stupid advertisement of selling land on the moon. This is called selling the bear's skin before killing it, However, the followers of the Vedas have a different method of acquiring knowledge. This is the whole purpose why this class is made. There's two ways, descending and ascending. We follow the descending process. Perfect knowledge that comes down to parampara. I listen, I hear, I believe, I accept, finish. They accept the statements of the Vedic literatures as authority in toto. Complete totality. Not that I accept that this part, but people living on the moon, that's far stretched. Then my friend, you're an Aryan. You are not an Aryan, you're not a Hindu, you're not a Sanatani, you're an Aryan. You're a rascal, that's what you are. A real Sanatani, a real follower of the Vedas will accept in toto everything, yes. Like Arjuna at the end, what did he say? I accept in totality all that you have told me. Not that, you convinced me to fight, my dear Lord Kṛṣṇa. I accept that. But what you said about the sun god, in the 4th chapter, hey, I don't know about that. Sun is so hot there. How can people live there? You went there, really, and you spoke to the sun god. That I don't take. Not like this. No, I accept absolutely everything. As we have already discussed in Canto 1, therefore they have full and reasonable knowledge of God and demigods of their different residential planets situated within the compass of the material world and beyond the limit of the material sky. The most authentic Vedic literature accepted by the great Indian acharyas here. Prabhupada's used the word Indian properly here, in the sense that, those who are born in Bharatavarsha, who are the great acharya. For this, if someone is proud to be Indian, for these reasons, then yes, he has all the right in the world to be proud to be born in India, no doubt. Birth in the land of Bharat is the greatest. This is a fact. If you're proud of this, if you're proud of your spiritual heritage, that all the great acharya have have manifested themselves in India. The Vedic literature is found in India. The Lord appears in India. You're proud of India for this. yes, all glories to you. But if you're proud because it is Chandayan, then, my friend, you're full number one. Indian acharyas like Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, and Chaitanya, and studied by all important personalities of the world, is the Bhagavad-gītā, in which the worship of the demigods and their respective residential planets are mentioned. So again, this is the verse and so on. So, that's it, okay? Now, before we proceed further, how about more video? I'm pretty sure you like that. Now this video I cannot download, so I will have to play the audio from here, and just you will hear through my microphone, so I hope it will be audible. Okay. Sorry, huh?
What do you think?
I think they're crazy.
What's that, Neil?
We really went to the moon. There's no conspiracy here.
We've been there. We've done that.
So get over it.
Yeah.
So these are guys that, try to disprove the skeptical, because there's many people who believe that they didn't go to the moon. So these two guys, they've got their show going on, I think, and they're saying, we've been there, get over it, we went to the moon and so on. And what is the experiment they do? This is kind of crazy. Look at it.
Conspiracy theories.
Preparing to fire laser at the moon.
Initiating laser on retro reflector from Apollo 15.
Okay, did you hear that? Initiating laser on retro reflector from Apollo 15. So basically they're saying they're shooting a laser on a little mirror that is on the moon, okay?
In 1969, the astronauts on Apollo 11 positioned reflectors on the surface of the moon.
If we knew its exact location and we had a powerful enough laser, we could detect the reflection and prove there is man-made equipment on the moon.
When you think about it, this is extraordinary. A laser is shot from Earth and makes a round trip of over 500,000 miles.
If we get a signal back, that means that we were, in fact, there.
Precisely. The ultimate proof of man's moon mission.
Oh, that's very cool.
Now, we'll be able to see the beam when it leaves, but it won't be strong enough when it comes back to be seen by the naked eye.
In fact, it's something that can only be picked up by the most sensitive of collectors, and hopefully, when we get that photon back, we'll see a spike like
The
that.
spike,
There it is. There's the spike.
that's the return from Apollo 15.
It's the moon. We hit the moon.
That is...
So of course now you have like this funny so-called show that imitate, but it's an actual experiment that they did, and this is their so-called proof that they went to the moon. You're telling me you shooting a laser from how many miles, 500,000 miles he's saying, and you're gonna be hitting that little reflector and it's gonna come back right at your little thing, you're gonna catch it? Really? Okay. And that's your proof that you went to the moon, right? Okay, thank you. Have a nice day, sir. You can go your way, I'll go mine.
So cool.
Such a big experiment?
Literal idiots. Do you think a laser can shoot 240,000 miles?
100 billion times more powerful than this is.
Oh,
Okay.
going, and you go,
Anyway.
how do you believe that? How do you and hit where you started? 1,000.
350.
Okay, now try and do 1 mile.
The fact that we can do this is the only way of definitively proving that there are man-made objects on the moon.
Yeah, I'll skip a little bit because this is like 9 minutes, but there's some important stuff that I want to share here.
Young minds.
We'll prove that man actually was on.
Shielding will be put to the test as the...
And
Okay.
are definitely...
Okay.
The technologies that we're testing out on space station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit.
Shield.
Did you hear what she said? She's an astronaut. The technology we're developing here are going to help us of our goal to go beyond low Earth orbit. She's saying that plainly, to go beyond low. She's an astronaut, and she's saying basically we've never been beyond low Earth orbit.
Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
Excuse me, sir? Didn't you send people to the moon before? Why are you saying that we must solve this problem before sending people to this region of space? Didn't you do that in 1969, my friend? Or maybe you forgot that it was a hoax.
Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
beyond low Earth orbit. The President of America is saying that they will discover that. Didn't you discover that like some half a decade ago when you know, the computer that was in those big NASA spacecraft are now less powerful than an Apple Watch?
We want to get NASA out of low Earth orbit and go explore the heavens.
Right.
Be lower and go explore the heavens. That means you've never been before, right?
Now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
That's the farthest that we can go. Again, all these scientists are speaking.
The moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to.
Just see, the moon, he forgot, you know, so there's so much, they know, they've been cheating, and it just comes out as they speak.
And we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Eventually.
This is Houston out. Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made.
Oh, so he's calling him by telephone. Oh, okay, excuse me. Now we've got like 5G, and I have problem to reach someone when I'm in the basement, right? I have a phone call, and just because I have a thick wall of concrete, I have problem to speak with someone, and you're calling by your telephone, you know, you're calling to someone on the moon. Okay, all right, very good.
Do the research, actually look into it, like your buddy Joe Rogan did for a long time.
Ridiculous! It looks stupid. It looks ridiculous and dumb. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way.
It's just laughable. It's held together by literal tape. Look at that. That is tape, Tim. That's space tape, bud.
Simple Scotch tape, haphazardly placed here and there, as if it were a last-minute job.
Other than the foil, what is that? What is that?
A Twinkie? No, I'm sure it's some super important and necessary high-tech device. Look at the buckling, warping, and indentation.
There is no explanation for the sloppiness in the construction of the lunar module, with the engines covered with aluminum foil, the external panels not even lining up with each other, and the Scotch tape that seems added at the last moment, just to keep together pieces that would otherwise fall apart.
And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Here we see the lunar lander redocking with the command module. This is clearly fake and made with props, models, and footage similar to the Hollywood creations of the day, such as Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey, created in 1968, the year before the first supposed moon landing. Look at the jerky, unreal cubes.
Okay.
This is...
Pretend I've never been there, and it works for me either way. And pretend I can remember. I go right back and look up in the sky.
Okay, these are the three men we saw, right? The three so-called moon landers. So...
Well, if I go right back and look up in the sky and see the moon, either I can remember where I was 20 years ago, or I can pretend I've never been there, and it works for me either way.
I can pretend I've never been there, and it works for me either way. The guy is just fed up to lie 20 years of his life, you know?
KC telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have machines to play it back. But you're
Moon rock in museum is just petrified wood.
research has shown the telemetry data is missing.
That's right. We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know.
We don't know where the data of the whole space, going space travel to the moon ended up. Okay.
What path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
Are we truly to believe that NASA has spent all this money to send a vehicle?
Okay, it's a bit long. This is a guy. So these are the guy, with the moon landing stuff, and they.
I'd love to go to court and show a window shot. You're a coward and a liar and a thief. You have $5,000 cash. Okay.
Go get guns.
Okay, yeah, this man here. So he's a NASA.
CIA?
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Not every
Okay, alright. So we had the technology, we destroyed it. It's a painful process to get it back again. Anyway, so, you know, I'm showing you these things. There's so much on the internet. You can do your own research. But are we convinced that didn't go there? So from two angles, from just, you know, plain sight lies by these scientists, and from our Shastra, we can understand that this is a whole show only. So let's go back to the part that we should be focusing on, which is Shastra. But still, I want to be showing these things because, you know, it shows clearly that they're cheaters. So, okay. Now, this is from Bhagavad-gītā. The Lord says, Adityanam aham Vishnu jyotisham ravirashuman marichir marutam asmi nakshatranam aham shashi. So they are saying, of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of lights I am the radiant sun, I am Marichi of the Maruts, and among the stars I am the moon. Among the stars I am the moon. So the moon is like a star. Marichi. Among the stars, the moon is most prominent at night, and thus the moon represents Kṛṣṇa. So Prabhupada quotes this verse saying actually that the moon is not, the stars are not other suns, and that the moon is in the same category as the stars actually. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 5.22.8. Okay, so this speaks of the location of the moon. So above the rays of the sunshine by a distance of 100,000 yojanas, 800,000 miles. Okay, just now we've heard, right? What did they say? They said the moon is, what is it, 500,000 miles, is it? 500 miles? No, 500,000, I forgot. Was it like 240,000 miles they're saying that the moon is? Anyway, here, this is the moon above the sun. So the moon, this is another important point. The moon is further away from the earth than the sun. What do they teach at school? The moon is very near and the sun is very far, right? Well, it's the opposite. Above the rays of the sunshine by a distance of 100,000 yojanas, 800 miles, is the moon, which travels at a speed faster than that of the sun. In 2 lunar fortnights, the moon travels through the equivalent of a samvatsara of the sun. In 2 1/4 days, it passes through a month of the sun. And in 1 day, it passes through a fortnight of the sun. And we can see that the moon moves much faster. It's not because the earth rotates. Get this out of your mind. We're not living on a spinning globe, in the middle of it. It's not like that, because Bhagavatam says clearly, there is below that we cannot see, and there's above. And the above, the stars are there. It says there's Bhumandala, and then there's the heavenly planets, and then there's the stars, there's Venus, Mars, the moon, all these things. So it goes up, upward like this. You cannot look down and see stars. So that we have to be convinced, because this Bhumandala is covering the entire half of the universe. The universe is like an egg, and half shaped, and the Bhumandala goes from edge to edge. And on the edge here, you've got those Loka mountains, which rise very, very high. And if you don't start to even believe in these little descriptions, how you can believe in the entire 5th canto? The whole mystical arrangement, God creates things according to His whims. He doesn't have to be subjugated to the envious rascal scientists who desire to occupy His post. No. So however He wants to be creating the universe, He will be. So there's some cosmic elephants there. There's some huge elephants that carry this Bhumandala on their backs and all. He can do that. It's not, the laws of physics were not written by you, my friend. Not that I'm going to be waiting for your little microscope and telescope to tell me how the thing works. No, I can learn directly. But unfortunately, our very own devotee will, lack faith in these descriptions of the Shastra. So here we go back. Sorry. Okay, sharing again. Prabhupada says in the purport, when we take into account that the moon is 100,000 yojanas, or 800,000 miles above the rays of the sunshine, it is very surprising that the modern excursions to the moon could be possible. Since the moon is so distant, how space vehicles could go there is a doubtful mystery. Even though they said it's a three-day journey to the moon. Is that what they say? 800,000 miles. So let's do some math here. 800,000 miles divided by 3 for 3 days, divided by 24 hours, that would be 11,000 miles per hour. That would be the speed that they would have to go. And that's if we take only the distance between the sun and the moon as the distance to the moon from the earth, which is obviously not, because you have to reach the sun and then another. So after passing the sun, you have to go 11,000 miles an hour to reach the moon in 3 days. Since the moon is so distant, how space vehicles could go there is a doubtful mystery. Modern scientific calculations are subject to one change after another, and therefore they are uncertain. We have to accept the calculations of the Vedic literature. These Vedic calculations are steady. The astronomical calculations made long ago and recorded in the Vedic literature are correct even now. Whether the Vedic calculations or modern ones are better may remain a mystery for others, but as far as we are concerned, we accept the Vedic calculations to be correct. So Prabhupada is saying he's speaking of himself. He's 100% convinced of that, and he wants us to become convinced too. We cannot claim to be disciples and at the same time doubt these things. And if we doubt, then we have to smash our mind with the broom, and keep reading and attentive chanting. We should be very much perturbed that why am I still doubting these things? Outside the ocean of liquor, this is another thing. There are oceans of liquor in our universe. Is another island known as Kushadvip, which is 800,000 yojanas, 640 and 400,000 miles wide, twice as wide as the ocean of liquor. As Shalmalidvipa is surrounded by a liquor ocean, Kushadvipa is surrounded by an ocean of liquid ghee as broad as the island itself. On Kushadvipa there are clumps of kusha grass, from which the island takes its name. This kusha grass, which was created by the demigods by the will of the Supreme Lord, appears like a second form of fire, but with very mild and pleasing flames. Its young shoots illuminate all directions. So this is the kind of description of the rays that come out of the moon. So Prabhupada elaborates in the purport. He says, from the descriptions in this verse, we can make an educated guess about the nature of the flames on the moon. Like the sun, the moon must also be full of flames, because without flames there cannot be illumination. The flames on the moon, however, unlike those on the sun, must be mild and pleasing. This is our conviction. The modern theory that the moon is full of dust is not accepted in the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. In regard to this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Sushash pani sukomala shikaste shamruchisha. The kusha grass illuminates all directions, but its flames are very mild and pleasing. This gives some idea of the flames existing on the moon. So this is the type of flame that exists on the moon. We have to be convinced of that. And we have seen that video that shows that the light emanating from the moon is cooler. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.16.8. Just north of Ilavrita Varsha and going further northward, one after another, are 3 mountains named Nila, Shveta, and Shringavan. These mark the borders of the 3 Varshas, named Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, and Kuru, and separate them from one another. The width of these mountains is 2,000 yojanas, 16,000 miles lengthwise. They extend east and west to the beaches of the ocean of salt water. Going from south to north, the length of each mountain is 1/10 that of the previous mountain, but the height of them all is the same. So we can say, how is it possible? 16,000 miles mountain, this and that. You cannot go to these regions. It's not possible. Even Arjuna, after the Yudhishthir Maharaj wanted to perform the Ashvamedha Yagya, or the Rajasuya Yagya, Rajasuya Yagya, I believe, he needed wealth, and he sent his brothers in the 4th direction. Arjuna went to the north, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadev, like that, and they had to subjugate all the kings of the earth. And rather they accept Yudhishthira as the reigning king of the earth, or there is a fight. So Arjuna was sent to the north, and it is described in the Mahabharata that he crossed a great desert. First of all, he crossed the Himalayas, then he crossed a great desert, and then he came to the what Varsa? Is it Kimpurusha Varsha? I think, if I'm not mistaken, Kimpurusha Varsha. So, and it said there that one of the inhabitants of this land came, and he said, you do not need to come here. We accept the ruling of Maharaj Yudhishthira. We accept. So you don't need to come, and even if you come, you will not be able to see us. So there's living entity that are reachable somehow or other by foot, of course by Arjuna, maybe not by us, right? And north of India, so past the Himalayas and you go north, right? There's all these Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Russia, all these things. So if you go even further and further up north, there's more land there. So how is it we cannot find these things? Well, we are bound up. It is described in Bhagavatam, we're bound up like bulls. You know the bull who rotates around the pole? He's hooked in the nose like that and he just rotates like that. We're controlled. We have to accept that. There's some place we cannot go, just like an ant who walks like on a plate. You can spin the plate this side. If you want, you can move the plate to another table and the ant doesn't know what is going on. So similarly, there are demigods that live above us, you know, and they control us. They are not going to allow us to go to their, just like if Prabhupada often says that you reach America. Can you just go and walk in America? No. Barking department is there. Where you come from, how long you want to stay, how much money you have, what's your purpose, da 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 da. So if us puny human beings we can block someone from entering our country, then what to speak of great demigods like Chandra and so on? You think you can just go to their planet like that and land and okay, it's only dust here, take some pictures and go away? It doesn't work like this. Yes, so it appears from these verses that aside from the sun and moon, there is an invisible planet called Rahu. The movements of Rahu cause both solar and lunar eclipse. We suggest that the modern expeditions attempting to reach the moon are mistakenly going to Rahu. So again, Prabhupada is saying that. He humbly say we suggest. Because he's not, Prabhupada will not make a statement that is not found in śāstra, but this is the suggestion of the pure devotee. Okay, so this is śāstra. This is 5:16:1. King Parikshit said to Shukadev Goswami, O Brahmana, you have already informed me that the radius of Bhumandala extends as far as the sun spreads its light and heat, and as far as the moon and all the stars can be seen. So Bhumandala is the flat plane that we live on. We live on only one little portion of Bhumandala, a very small portion, Ilavrita Varsha. In this verse, it is stated that the planetary system known as Bhumandala extends to the limits of the sunshine. According to modern science, the sunshine reaches Earth from a distance of 93 million miles. So Prabhupada is using the modern calculation now for the sake of adding to arguments. If we calculate according to this modern information, 93 million miles can be considered the radius of Bhumandala. In the Gayatri mantra, we chant Om Bhur Bhuva Svaha. The word Bhur refers to Bhumandala. Tat Savitur Varenyam. The sunshine spreads throughout Bhumandala. Therefore, the sun is worshipable. The stars, which are known as nakshatra, are not different suns, as modern astronomers suppose. Yeah, this is what they're taught us at school, right? We go to university, all the stars are different suns, gas, and when there's no more gas, they implode and supernova and this and that. From Bhagavad-gītā 10:21, we understand that the stars are similar to the moon. Nakshatranam aham shashi. Like the moon, the stars reflect the sunshine. So again, here it is speaking of reflection, but at the same time we learn that there is the grass, flame-like grass on the moon that is soothing. So as I said in the beginning, it's not as simple as simply reflecting. There's something else, Although everything reflects the sun, just like the sun reflects the Brahma Jyoti. This is then Prabhupada's books, that actually all light emanates from the Brahma Jyoti and the sun somehow reflects that light. So in a similar manner, the moon also reflects the rays of the sun. Apart from our modern distinguished estimations of where the planetary systems are located, we can understand that the sky and its various planets were studied long, long before Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled. Shukadev Goswami explained the location of the planets, and this indicates that the information was known long, long before Shukadev Goswami related it to Maharaj Parikshit. The location of the various planetary systems was not unknown to the sages who flourished in the Vedic age. Yes. So there is this other place now. What is that? Yes, because, this is something that some devotees try to find some middle ground between modern day description of the moon and Vedic description. What do they say? They say the Vedic moon, they say, is not visible by us. It is a subtle moon. And it is higher, it is further than the sun on a subtle plane. This is how they say. they say physically the moon is closer and the sun is further away physically, but on a spectral, elementary, subtle plane, the moon is further. So that's the compromise that they have come with. Okay, so I read a comment on Facebook from one of these devotees who's a lot. You know, there's a couple of devotees in the movement that are really into this cosmology, and one of them, although he wrote many books about that and all, that was his comment. He was saying that the moon is further on a subtle plane, but physically speaking, it's closer. So I quoted that verse for him. So now I will have to find this. So just give me a second. So this is a distinction, you see. If we want to make progress, we have to see through Shastra. Because when I heard this, I was contemplating, oh really? Okay, is it true? Is it like that? And then somehow as I was continuing to read, I read that. And I was like, well, this is the proof that it's not. So this guy is a liar. He's trying, you know. Sorry, son. Just give me a second. This is an important verse so that we will all know that this is not a proper way to understand. Oh no. Would I actually... Blood... Okay, give me just a second here. Because there was a war, okay? And there was a war that took place between demigods and demons. And what happened is that the blood from that war reached the sun. Okay? And then Prabhupada says that we see that the blood has reached the sun but not the moon, which means this. So blood is a physical object. It's not something on a spiritual level or subtle level or this and that. Blood is blood. Somehow I did not save this here. Or maybe in cosmology. Yeah, okay. One moment. Okay, yeah, I think... Sorry, huh? Bear with me here. Okay. Yes, found it. Okay, so this is Canto 8, Chapter 10, Text 38. I'm sharing. 8:10:38. Because of the impact on the ground of the legs of the demons and demigods and the wheels of the chariots, particles of dust, oh, it's not blood, dust, flew violently into the sky and made a dust cloud that covered all directions of outer space as far as the sun. But when the particles of dust were followed... Okay, yeah, blood is there, so I'm not completely Alzheimer. But when the particles of dust were followed by drops of blood being sprinkled all over space, the dust cloud could no longer float in the sky. So this is a description of a very bloody battle. They're fighting, there's dust going everywhere, all the way to the sun. Because, mind you, demigods are not puny like us. It's described when in the training of the ocean, when they had Vasuki, huge snake, and demigods are there and they're grasping and pulling, and there's this mandala hill, and then there's the ocean of milk, and the demons are there. This is like the cosmic war happening between the demigods and demons. And it's described that they're standing in the ocean, and Prabhupada says the ocean, our modern day ocean, I believe he's saying it's like something like 7 miles deep, and it's reaching their knees. That means the demigod up to their knees is 7 miles. Can you imagine how tall they are? And in this way they were churning the ocean, So these demigods, when they get into a fight with the demons, it's not some little thing that's occurring. So they were fighting, and the dust cloud just elevated, and then because of the blood and all, it mixes with the dust, and this dust falls back. So, let's continue. But when the particles of dust were followed by drops of blood being sprinkled all over space, the dust cloud could no longer float in the sky. Prabhupada, says, the cloud of dust covered the entire horizon, but when drops of blood sprayed up as far as the sun, the dust cloud could no longer float in the sky. A point to be observed here is that although the blood is stated to have reached the sun, it is not said to have reached the moon. Apparently, therefore, as stated elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, the sun, not the moon, is the planet nearest the earth. We have already discussed this point in many places. The sun is first, then the moon, then Mars, Jupiter, and so on. The sun is supposed to be 93 million miles above the surface of the earth, and from the Srimad Bhagavatam we understand that the moon is 1,600,000 miles above the sun. Therefore, the distance between the earth and the moon would be about 95 million miles. So if a space capsule were traveling at a speed of 18,000 miles per hour, how could it reach the moon in 4 days? So they say they reached in 4 days. So little calculation, 90 million divided by 18,000. So that's the amount of hours divided by 24. 220 days it would take at that speed, at 18,000 miles. Are you seeing that? So 220 days it would take to reach the moon at 18,000 miles per hour. So how are they sending their little Sputnik there in 3 days? Are we going to believe Prabhupada and Srimad Bhagavatam? Or are we going to believe the puffed up materialistic scientists who are forced to be born and die against their will? Who are we going to believe? Those above the modes or those below it? At that speed, going to the moon would take at least 7 months. That a space capsule on the moon excursion has reached the moon in 4 days is therefore impossible. That's it. So there you have it. So moon is further. And Prabhupada says, therefore we say Sunday. The week starts with Sunday. Monday, moon day. So sun is first, moon is second. There's a meaning for why the Sunday, Monday. So, okay. Next, what is this? So this is, again, this is where it is stated. Prabhupada just now said it is stated where the moon is located. So this is the verse. This is Canto 5, Chapter 24, Text 2. The sun globe, which is a source of heat, extends for 10,000 yojanas, 80,000 miles. The moon extends for 20,000 yojanas, 160,000 miles. And Rahu extends for 30,000 yojanas, 240,000 miles. Formerly, when nectar was being distributed, Rahu tried to create dissension between the sun and moon by interposing himself between them. Rahu is inimical toward both the sun and the moon, and therefore he always tries to cover the sunshine and moonshine on the dark moon day and full moon night. As stated herein, the sun extends for 10,000 yojanas and the moon extends for twice that, or 20,000 yojanas. The word Dvadasha should be understood to mean twice as much as 10, or 20. In the opinion of Vijayadvaja, the extent of Rahu should be twice that of the moon, or text of the Bhagavatam. Vijayadvaja cites the following quotation concerning Rahu. Rahu Soma Ravinam tu mandala dvigunoktiktam. This means that Rahu is twice as large as the moon, which is twice as large as the sun. This is the conclusion of the commentator Vijayadvaj. So, the moon is larger than the sun. We are told that the moon is punier than the earth, and that the sun is like, thousands and thousands of times bigger than the earth and the moon. And we want to send our children to these schools. Soma, the moon, is the source of food grains, strength, and longevity for all the demigods. He is also the master of all vegetation and the source of generation for all living entities. As stated by learned scholars, the moon is the mind of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all opulences, be pleased with us. So this is what Prabhupada says, that how is it that the moon is the master of all vegetations, and there's no vegetation there? It's just some desert. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, is the source of food grains and therefore the source of strength even for the celestial beings. So we learned that without the moon, the food grains will have would not manifest. The demigods. He is the vital force for all vegetation. Unfortunately, modern so-called scientists who did not fully understand the moon, describe the moon as being full of deserts. Since the moon is the source for our vegetation, how can the moon be a desert? The moonshine is the vital force for all vegetation, and therefore we cannot possibly accept that the moon is a desert. Well, here are some people who accept it. Although Prabhupada says we cannot accept. Here are some so-called devotees posting this thing. Yeah, by Krishna's mercy, Chandrayaan-3 is successful, proud to be Indian, proud to be this bag of stool and urine. Hey. So we are regressing. This is the proof that ISKCON is not properly connected anymore. We have disconnected ourselves with Srila Prabhupada. And therefore these new disciples that are made lack faith in Prabhupada. That is the so-called preaching. So much so in the bodily concept that when we have the Independence Day of India, well, no more backdrop. India flag backdrop. And let the Lord be in the bodily concept of life like we are. Let Tulasi Maharani also be in the bodily concept, and Jagannath Baladev Subhadra in the bodily concept like we all are. And be proud to be Indians. And let's blow some balloons, orange and green and white. And let's just help everybody feel proud of being born in a material body, which is the very disease that we're trying to get over it. You think that Prabhupada would approve of that? Did Prabhupada say that? You think that Prabhupada didn't go through some Indian independence? He preached 11 years. That means 11 in the Indian Independence Day. Did he ask you to do that? Then why are you doing it? And when this was brought up to the attention of Gopal Kṛṣṇa Maharaj, they were saying, Gopal Kṛṣṇa Maharaj, some people are complaining that we're putting these things on the Lord, we are getting criticized. Gopal Kṛṣṇa Maharaj's reply was that these people don't know how to preach. Oh, okay, so you're preaching well by decorating the Lord with this Indian. So Krishna is Indian, right? Krishna is an Indian god, is it? Soma is also Indian. Surya is also Indian. All the demigods are Indians only. Okay, all right. So that's it. So your bodily conception of life is applied to the Lord also. Complete reverse. The Lord is trying to give His consciousness to you to understand that you're a pure spirit just like Him, and you're so fallen and disconnected that you're trying to cover the Lord with your ignorance. This is your position. These pictures are there. You see? This is something else. A lot of things happening in ISKCON, right? A lot of... So, yeah. We're almost finished. This is it. So, okay. Alright. I didn't check at any of the comments because I don't like to read the comments when I have class, but from the number of it, I can understand that there's been some fighting going on. We are at 124 comments. Generally, this is when there's some fighting going on. So we'll start to take a look at this. We'll go back to the beginning. So Hare Krishna all of you. Thank you very much for joining. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Thank you all for coming. Saurabh Prabhu is saying, watching this as a son of chemistry teacher, father, and myself as a science graduate, but I accepted Srila Prabhupada. Yes. Please stay strong. But, don't frail. Don't go back the other way, because if you start again to associate with those who are, science graduate and all of that, doubt will come back again, because we're very puny. Maya is very strong. If we associate again with them. In Sanatana Dharma, I think Krishna consciousness is diversion from polytheism to monotheism. I think it is need of time, otherwise other monotheist religions will override us or will try. We don't care about this religion or that religion. This is the whole thing now. You're saying Hindutva. This is bodily concept of life. You do not know what Sanatana Dharma is. Sanatana Dharma deals with the eternal spirit soul, which is beyond all this Christianity, Islam, all this is all nonsense, bogus. Hindutva is simply saying that I'm proud to be Hindu. That's all. So you're still creating dissension amongst you and the other. You must, if you say you're Hindu, then there's automatically non-Hindus. That means you're discriminating. But Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father of all living entity. So why are you discriminating Hindu, non-Hindu? What is this consciousness? This is material consciousness. And you're saying monotheistic religion. Yes, God is one. Not that I'm saying. In your own, Vedic scriptures it is stated. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhava, mataham sarvam pravartate. I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Bhagavad-gītā 10:8. You don't read your own Bhagavad-gītā. And 7:7, he's saying, there's no cause superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. And he says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. There's no demigod that speaks of that. Shiva never spoke that. Ganesh never spoke that. So yes, there's only one God. It's a fact. But the understanding that God is impersonal is also needed, because most people cannot approach the personal form of God. And the proof of that is that you get all these rascals that hear of Krishna's pastimes and then start to imitate and this and that. So for such fallen living entity, yes, God is impersonal, please. God is light only. Yes, you're right, God is light. And therefore there's a lot of the Vedic literature that speaks of that. God is light only. Yes, impersonal Brahman, nothing else. Don't try to come closer. Because if you come closer, you become a Vaishnava, you commit a parad, offenses. And we can see, those who are too lusty, you start to speak about Lord Krishna, they get agitated. So they cannot come. So yes, God is impersonal. Go on with that concept. It's better this way. Yes, so this is a quote by Kali Mata Ugra Rupam. Simply bluffing, Srila Prabhupada says. It is my firm conviction that they did not go to the moon, neither they'll be able to go to the Mars as they have planned. Yes, they said, right? They sent a rover to Mars. I don't believe that. Not at all. Someone who's willing to cheat the entire planet with a so-called live stream of men on the moon calling from the president house, I'm talking to you from this telephone, and so on, so on. You can cheat the entire planet. You think I can believe you again? I don't care. I don't believe them. The whole world can believe them. I'll go my way. I don't care that I'm alone in a room with Prabhupada. Please, please, yes, I would love that. Not having to deal with all nonsense people in the world. But because Prabhupada wants us to preach, then we have to deal with these foolish people. But if they could all go their way and I could go my way, I'll be more than glad not to hear all of their nonsense things, you know. But we live here and we have a mission to perform. We're not, you know, we're disciples. We have to try to follow the instructions. And therefore we have to deal with all this. When NASA and USA dubbed the world of the moon landing, there was no technology available at that time for such a thing. There was also no internet, no fast domestic air travel, no cell phones, and no computers. Exactly. Exactly. You know, technology was so not advanced at that time. You're telling me you went there, and now with all the technological advancement, you cannot go again? You know, the first time one man climbed the Everest, Mount Everest, is it that all other nations were like, oh, he did it, okay, all right, nobody can do it now anymore, he did it. No, everybody went, I want to go, it was huge competition, everybody's going to go. You see, I touched it. Am I good? Am I a strong man now? Can you praise me now? The ego is there, so why aren't they going again? Oh, but I know why. The scientists said it. Yeah, you know, we had the technology, we destroyed it, now we cannot do it again, it's too expensive. Oh, that's why they cannot do it. Okay. Yes, so where's the doubt? It is a fact that they did not go to the moon. That's a fact, yes. And we should believe that. We should not leave Srila Prabhupada. Many disciples left Srila Prabhupada in 1969 because they believed that instead of that of Srila Prabhupada. Huh? Oh, they look at the little TV. This is why all these screens, this is very dangerous. If we don't know how to use the screens for preaching work, becoming more Krishna conscious, these screens are just going to kill us. Because we're going to be listening to all nonsense and we're going to become polluted and we'll stop reading. That is the effect that we become contaminated. We stop reading Prabhupada books. Stop reading and stop chanting. Fables are not scriptures. The kernel of truth in fables form the real Hinduism. Learn to separate the chaff from kernel. The kernel, no, that's the thing. You're separating the story from the truth. You think that those stories are not true. And you're saying Krishna is rational. What kind of nonsense name you have? Krishna has to be subordinate to your rationality, is it? Let's see how rational you'll feel when the time of death comes. How rational it is. Are you in control of your life? So why are you coming and saying, yeah, Puranas are not real? No, Puranas are just story to make us understand the truth of the Vedas. This is what this modern Hindutva is. Hindutva means some puffed up Indians, you know, that are so tired of being like left in the corner of the cool kids, because Americans are the cool kids, Europeans are the cool kids, but Indians are seen like, you know, and you're so puffed. No, Hindutva, we also are proud to be Indians, but you're not even, you know, accepting your own scriptures. What are you? You're neither there, neither here. You won't be cool materially, and you won't accept your spiritual. Prabhupada said India is a lame man, and the West is a blind man. It's a fact. West has got no knowledge at all. Only material knowledge. There's practically no spiritual knowledge. Even like the religions of the West, Christianity, Islam, all of this, very, very shallow. Very, very shallow. So, but materially speaking, yes, you go to some you know, cities there and all, very developed, very high tech, technological advanced. You go to India, you know, I never went, but I hear a story of everybody. India is dirty, India is dusty, you know, this and that. So, and now you're sending your thing to the moon. You think finally you've got something. You know, you're how many decades behind, and you're still proud. The Prabhupada said, right? Like, while America had the big skyscraper, he went into India into technological display, and they had the what? Like the washing machine or sewing machine, or like bicycle or something. You know, and you're proud of, you're like running thousands of miles behind, and you want to be proud. So don't go that way. You can be proud of being Indian for your spiritual culture. As far as material advancement is concerned, who cares for India? Actually, of course, because Indians are very intelligent, descendants of Brahmanas, so therefore they're hired by all the big, you know, international companies. So I'm not denying that Indians are very intelligent, even materially speaking, they can. But as far as organizing themselves materially, they're not very good at it. The moon they have reached is in third dimension. Oh, so you're one of those. Chandraloka is in higher dimensions. There are 64 dimensions of universe as per Vedas. Oh, is it? In Taittiriya Upanishad, the higher level of beings. Yeah, so you're speculating this dimension. It's clearly stated yojanas. Yojanas means miles, means physical miles. And we have shown you how the drops of blood and the dust reach the sun, but not the moon. So you're one of those who lack faith in Vedas. What can I say? Good luck with you. So I'm not going to be reading any of these guys. So Arunava, Biswas, and Kṛṣṇa is rational. I'm just going to skip the... Okay, yes, liars. Nobody went to the moon. I prefer this kind of, even though it's... who is this? Is it Vladimir Putin in the picture? Okay, Asura demons infest India too. Yes. And they entered into Brahmin family. They said in Kali Yoga, demons will be born in Brahminical family. Srila Prabhupada was talking about Chandraloka present in the higher dimension, not about third dimensional moon they have landed. No, you're nonsense. The moon that we see with our eyes is Chandraloka. This is where the demigods reside. Okay, so I think that's how the fight started, right? Yeah, so that is the verse. Thank you very much, Dimitri Prabhu. One who identifies himself as the inert body composed of mucus, bile, and air, who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, who thinks an earthen image or the land of his birth is worshipable, or who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely the water there, but who never identifies himself with, feels kinship with, worships, or even visits those who are wise in spiritual truth. Such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. So that is 99.9% of the whole world population right now. Nobody's interested in hearing from the devotees, and everybody's very proud. America, yes, the best, you know. No, Indian are better. No, we've went to the South Pole. You never went to the South Pole. Now we're in the South Pole of the moon. You didn't do it. We're better than you. So if this mentality is carried in our Krishna consciousness movement, what's the use? You can fake, you can have big kirtan, Radha Deshmelos and all of that. But if you're still in the bodily concept of life and you feel pride, did you feel your heart swell with pride when you saw the landing? If yes, my friend, you're not chanting properly. There's some problem in your sadhana. Oh no, Kṛṣṇa the rational, yeah. Okay, these fellas, I'm just gonna skip the... Okay, this is when the fight broke off. So you see, so people like him, people like this fellow here, ISRO rover vehicle on the moon, even took a selfie from moon surface and sent us. Yeah, so you see, so unintelligent person like this fellow here, they will believe these things, even though we've shown clearly all these footage that they've been cheating. But these foolish people like him, who claim to be Hindus, are actually Anaryan. They are the real danger in our Sanatan Dharma. This Kṛṣṇa is the rational fella and all his company, birds of a feather. They are the real threat to Sanatan Dharma. People, why is India being in so-called, invaded by this religion, that religion? Is because of people like him. Because you will never become strong and have strong faith in your scriptures, in your culture, unless you accept Shastra. Then you'll become strong. Then you'll be able to speak in all opposition. And you'll be able to have faith that, yes, this is like that, this is like that. Then you develop Brahmanical qualifications by following the Acharya Sampradaya. But if you don't surrender, you'll remain a Shudra. And therefore, people like that, they cannot follow the 4 regulative principles. Although he's speaking about the rover, this and that. Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex. How many you're doing? 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe? Impossible that you. Therefore, you're not a Brahmana. Therefore, you should not speak. Vedic culture means Brahmana speak. Shudras hear. You're at the stage of hearing right now. You're not purified. And if you keep on speculating like this, you will only cause disturbance in society. That's all. You will have absolutely no use. Useless fellow you are. Moon reflects light from the sun. It doesn't contradict to what Kṛṣṇa stated. Anyway, even if it reflects the sun from the moon, there's also adulteration to the light. Otherwise, the light would be hot. Right? It reflects it, it becomes soothing. And there's this kusha grass that emanates some soft rays. That is also description. Okay. For Chandrayaan 3, ISRO gave no media promotion, and after the launch, they were not releasing any photos or videos of the journey for a long time until the supposed date of landing arrived. Yeah, this is another thing, you know, that why we have got all these cameras now that are so advanced. You know, even on our smartphone now, we got some nice cameras. Can't you put a couple of cameras, please, when you're leaving the earth, so that we can see a beautiful, you know, 4K, 8K even, 12K, 16K, you got the money, NASA, of like a nice earth going little and little and little like this, and then you see the, you know, the sun and the stars, and wow, and then you see the earth becoming smaller and smaller, and then, you know, wouldn't that be a nice video? You didn't think about that? Don't you want to be showing the whole world, you know, that you're actually making it? No, no, no. They'll put some little, what is that, the computer thing? Ding, ding, ding. Playing Tetris, you know? Ding, ding, ding. We're landing on the moon, and then you see all these scientists like clapping hands, you know, hugging one another, and we did it, and we did it. Why should one believe in scripture instead of ISRO? Is ISRO going to save you from death, my friend? You were forced to be born, and you're going to be forced to die. Is ISRO creating the fruits that you're eating every day, the grains that you're eating, the air that you're breathing, the sun that you're seeing, the smell that you're smelling? My friend, is ISRO is the one making the heartbeat in your heart? Is it the one who gave you this brain, which is so complex that has billions of neurons that even the material scientists cannot understand? Is he the one who has gave you this 580 megapixel camera when your little ISRO people cannot even do a proper 16 megapixel camera? You are the product of my ancestors who have enslaved you, my friend. You are a slave of my ancestors. That's who you are. And I'm here as a bona fide descendant of them to say sorry for what they have done. I'm here to free you from their slavery. And you foolish person, you want to remain a slave. And you're proud to be this Indian, this slave of the Britishers. That's what you are. That's what you are. Britishers came to India to destroy the Vedic culture. They said it. England's work in India. That was preached and taught in all the university in India. You Indians are low, little villages. What do you know about us, you know, Western gods that are coming here and educating you? This is exactly what you are. You are a byproduct of the slaves that my ancestors made your ancestors to be. And now I'm telling you to remove those shackles from your feet, and you don't want to. Why should one believe the scripture instead of ISRO? I'm a white man, white body, telling you, the Indian men, to believe in your own scriptures. And you're telling me, no, you should believe the Western way. This is the misfortune of India. And you are a misfortunate living entity. So I see a lot of nonsense people in the chat. Unfortunately, there's not many. So, yes, the presentation is not convincing. Prabhupada's main problem was the Bhagavad says moon is 9 crores miles from Earth, but NASA saying moon is just 3 lakhs. That's all right. So, have you gone there? You went to the moon. Did you go? No. So you're just hearing, right? Okay. So you're hearing us and you don't have faith, but you're hearing them and you have faith. Why? The process is the same. You're hearing only. You're sitting on your couch in your house, you're looking at a screen, and you're saying, they went to the moon. And we're reading the Bhagavad-gītā, we're saying, the moon cannot. And you're saying, no, you cannot. They're right. Why? You're only hearing them. Why? Have you gone there, my friend? So you haven't been there, so you cannot prove to us also. So why should we accept you? Why should we accept all the things when we see that there's those NASA scientists are saying, yeah, we destroyed the technology, we went there, we want to go beyond low Earth orbit, and this and that. So you know what? People like you, we don't lose our time. But we highlight you to sow the foolish, maya parta jnana. This is who you are. Okay, let's bring out that verse. Kṛṣṇa says, what kind of person you are. Unfortunate fella. Unfortunate fella. So people like you are the ones that we have to be very careful, because you're the most dangerous. Because you want to be appearing as a Sanatani, but in fact, you're working for the opposite camp. So, maya parta jnana. This is who you are. Asuram bhavamashrita. Yes. Asuram. So you are a demon, my friend. If you don't believe in Shastra, you are a demon. I'm not going to hold my words back. Not on your face. So here. 7:15 Bhagavad-gītā. Namam dushkritunu mudha prapadente naradhama mayaya parthagyana asuram bhavamashrita. So you follow the asuram bhavam, my friend. You are from the asura. You are anaryan. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So you are part of that clan. You follow the atheistic. The atheistic plan makers are described by the words dushkritina, or miscreants. Kritina means one who has performed meritorious work. The atheist plan maker is sometimes very intelligent and meritorious also, because any gigantic plan, good or bad, must take intelligence to execute. But because the atheist's brain is improperly utilized in opposing the plan of the Supreme Lord, the atheistic plan maker is called dushkritina, which indicates that his intelligence and effort are misdirected. So you are misdirected. You use your intelligence to simply try to oppose the established order of the world, of the Lord, which is, you must live on this earth, my friend. The next class of dushkritina is called maya parita jnana, or those person whose erudite knowledge has been nullified by the influence of illusory material energy. There are mostly very learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literary scientists, etc. But the illusory energy misguides them, and therefore they disobey the Supreme Lord. And I'll show you one of these guys. This man has been trying to prove his entire life that there's no God. Nobody's controlling me. Well, my friend, if nobody's controlling you, why do you look like this? Why can't you even move your body? You cannot even move you need a machine to speak. Why? Why? Because you're under control. You try to prove that there's nobody controlling you, but you're under control. That's a fact. And this man, atheist, his whole life he tried to prove that there's no control, but at the time of death, you don't want to die, but you're forced to die. Why? If there's no controller. You have a will. You're having a desire not to die. You're going that way. I have a desire not to die. But you must die. That means there's a counter force. Since you're a living entity who's got a will, only a will can go opposite to you. Matter has no will. This is matter. My will is above it. I'm moving matter. Here. Matter is done. I'm a superior living entity. The only thing that can impose its will upon me is another living entity. You don't want to die, but you're going to die, my friend. And all those Chandadayan, scientists who were cheering up, yeah, at the time of death, what can they do? Finished. There are a great number of Maya Parita Jnanas at the present moment, even amongst the scholars of the Gita. Yes. Oh, Gita means the moon is a third dimension thing. And in the Gita, in plain and simple language, it is stated that Sri Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is none equal to or greater than him. He is mentioned as the father of Brahma, the original father of all human beings. In fact, Sri Kṛṣṇa is said to be not only the father of Brahma, but also the father of all species of life. He is the root of the impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. the super soul in every entity, is his plenary portion. Just now we had that, oh, why you make this Krishna consciousness, monotheism, only one God, why not many God, why are you being like that? We're not being like this. Krishna is saying, we're only repeating. You have a problem, then you arrange it with him. He is the fountainhead of everything, and everyone is advised to surrender unto his lotus feet. Despite all these clear statements, the Maya Paritagana deride the personality of the Supreme Lord and consider him merely another human being. They do not know that the blessed form of human life is designed after the eternal and transcendental feature of the Supreme Lord. All unauthorized interpretations of the Gita, which is all of them except Srila Prabhupada's one, maybe a few others, by the class of Maya Paritagyana outside the purview of the Parampara system, are so many stumbling blocks in the path of spiritual understanding. The deluded interpreters do not surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, nor do they teach others to follow these principles. So these stumbling blocks here, it's at least 98, 99% of Hindus, if not more than that. There are stumbling blocks, because they will pose themselves as Sanatanis and all. But when you come and quote from the scriptures, Bhagavad-gītā, no, this interpretation, this and that. Therefore, this modern day Hinduism, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, there's two types of Hinduism. There's Asura Hinduism and Daiva Hinduism. So there's a transcendental Hinduism, which is actually Varnashram Dharma, Sanatan Dharma. And there is Asura Hinduism, which is what is rampant nowadays. Everybody in the garbs of so-called Hindus, but spreading lies. ISKCON is the Indian version of Islam. Won't believe because it's not written in the book. Because Srila Prabhupada said this and that. Oh, ocean blue, you have turned, huh? Wow. You used to be one of my followers in the beginning. I remember you from some years ago. You used to be very favorable. And now you're saying ISKCON is the Indian version of Islam. Won't believe because it's not written in the book. Because Srila Prabhupada said like that. Well, my friend, this is it. When you don't keep association with the devotees and you flip, you go the other side and you hear from the karmis, then you fall down. I don't care. All you guys can come in the comment section and put your things. I'm not going to flinch. Who do you think you are to come in here and try to blaspheme Srila Prabhupada and all? What? You're not under the threefold miseries? You don't have like stomachache, toothache and all? Aren't you? The scientific proofs that are there in Srila Prabhupada books, doesn't it make sense? Birth, death, disease and old age are the things that you don't want. But you have to go through them. This is scientific understanding. Srila Prabhupada is coming here to try to give you mercy and you claim us to be fanatical and all. If I know that I'm right, why should I compromise? Those who doubt, they will compromise. This is what Srila Prabhupada says. Where is that? Prabhupada says, we don't care for this trouble. If you're sincere, it is all right. We are facing so many difficulties. We don't care for it. We never compromise. All my students, they will never compromise. Not that they will say, yes, Chandradaya is good and let's dress Krishna in Indian clothes. Why shall I compromise? If I'm confident that I'm speaking the truth, why shall I make compromise? Those who are not confident of his position, they will make compromise. One who does not know where he stands, he will make compromise. And if I know where I'm standing, why shall I make compromise? Let others do whatever he likes. This is our position. So you know what? I'm convinced of that. And I don't care that you don't believe this or that. So Ocean Blue, in the beginning I used to speak to you and all, but I see that you're a weak man. Puny men, my friend. Prabhupada did not know the ancient astronomical book, Surya Siddhanta. Okay, alright. Thank you. I can see there's a lot of, stool-eating flies coming. Okay, we've got some crazy fella coming here. Yes. So today's ISKCON isn't at all remain as Srila Prabhupada's organization. Please write Srila Prabhupada's name fully, not just SP. They are chummy with demons, total disservice to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, it's a fact. Okay, a lot of fighting. I don't know if, how many comments are there. I'm just gonna go, so I don't think it's... Wow, a lot of people coming to fight, huh? So I'm sorry if you put any intelligent questions in the comment section. I'm not feeling much. Earth is flat. NASA was founded by Nazi. When we're in cosmology, moonlighting is cold. You can measure it with a gun. Yes, so we've shown that video earlier in the class. It's a fact. Yeah, Prabhupada said like that. The government of the world want to break the firmament and kill God. So they want to break the, yeah, because there's laws that keeps us here, right? You cannot go beyond. Yeah, exactly. Sunday, Monday, moon, lunar. Yes. Okay, so yes, just see 63 million a day. And all these big scientists, NASA steals 63 million a day of taxpayer fiat currency, and you get CGI. Exactly. That's a very good point. Why are they doing all this? For fat salaries, that's all. You know this Neil deGrasse, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think he makes like some 300,000 US a year. Big fat salary, so he's got to come up with all these things and with his big lips and blah, 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 like that. So they're gonna cheat, right? All of them are Freemasons from Apollo mission. Only about 500 have been space, easy. Anyway, you know, there's definitely a big movement. I mean to say, some elite demons that control the whole show. Okay, I think you're late. You're late in the class, my friend. What is your point, basically? Moon landing is fake. I think you'll have to watch the replay. So, okay, a lot of good comments by Watch the Collapse podcast. Maybe you can all look. I cannot just put them all here on the screen. I'm scrolling as fast as possible. Mukunda Murari Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu. I hope you have watched all the class. It's gonna be good for you to watch this class, Prabhu. So I know that you somehow or other you believed in this whole thing. So please rewatch that, because there's a lot of information you might have missed if you did not join from the very beginning. That's going to be a good class for you to listen, Prabhu. And I hope to see you again soon here in the Philippines. Hare Krishna. Oh, okay, little fight here. We do not want to listen to the word Asura from Western world. Vedic Brahmins categorically categorized as Mlecha. Bhavisha Puranically said that the people beyond present day Afghanistan. Yes, I'm a Mlecha. I agree to that. I'm not disagreeing. I'm born Mlecha. But because I'm trying to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions to the best of my capability, then I have a chance to become a Brahmana. You do not know that. You're quoting from the Bhavishya Purana, but you can quote from Bhagavatam also. And anyway, you don't deserve to be quoted upon. But there are many verses that says that even the most fallen, what is that? Kirita, Mlecha, Yavana, Kasha and all, they also can take to the devotional service of the Lord. You know? And I'm saying Asura not on my own strength, my friend. Those who doubt the revealed scriptures are Asuras. This is Kṛṣṇa calling you an Asura, not me. I'm holding the hand of Prabhupada and Kṛṣṇa, you know, and I'm speaking these words just like a child doesn't know much, but he repeats the word of the Father. So you are an Asura. It's a fact. If you support this moon landing mission, you're an Asura. You're not a Hindu or so-called, Sanatani. You're not, my friend. So you want to be, you call me a Mlecha. I agree with that. I know the Western culture is Mlecha. Didn't you hear the class? I'm saying that birth in India is the highest. I agree all this, but because I see śāstra, that's all. Not to some sentimental emotion. Not because I'm born, there and Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Not like this. So I'm not going to be entertaining all of you. Okay, but this point, okay, Hare Krishna, the moon landing is a hoax, but how is it possible that different nations all get together to spread this hoax? This seems so unlikely that they would support each other in this hoax. Well, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. If you expose me, I'll expose you. Let's be chummy. This is how all the people who cheat all over the world, they all work like this. Those pharmaceutical companies that make us even more and more sick, they won't talk against one another. You don't disclose me, I don't disclose you. This is all the mafia works too, I won't snitch on you, you won't snitch on me. Snitch means, going to the police and revealing. It's all like this. All demons will be chummy for some time, that I'm not going to expose you. Because they have too much money to make. That's all. Even in our movement, all the gurus who are not on the level of a Mahabhagavata, they don't expose each other. They know there are, in front of each other, Maharaj, Hare Krishna. But then they'll go and speak bad against him to his disciples. He's not self-realized and this and that. They know they're all bogus, but they won't expose one another because sanctification is there. What is it? It was quoted 63 million a day or something. They're taking NASA. So that's why Prabhupada explained that, Okay. All right. So I think we have wrapped up. Actually, there's so many nice conversations of Srila Prabhupada speaking about this moon landing, If you want, you can go in the database and type moon landing and so on. You can keep reading. So we have tried our best to show a little bit of what Shastra says about the moon and what Srila Prabhupada says. So we don't care about the whole world, which is filled of people that came in the comment section. Actually, I'm doing this class for the devotees. I'm not doing this class for these people. Actually, these people, I want to stay miles away from them. I want to close my eyes and not even see their faces. I don't care. Go on with your life. Why do you come here and bark, right? You have your life, right? You have your daily occupation. Just go. Okay, this is encouraging. Just subbed. Looking forward to hearing you speak again. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. That is encouraging. And yes, if you would like, here is what I almost forgot to do. If you would like to join a Telegram group of young, enthusiastic devotees who are trained to see through Shastra only and to have discussion on the basis of Shastra only. If you don't believe in Shastra and you don't have even a little faith, and please don't come and disturb, You have your own groups, right? Your own people who like to, do their own things, whatever you're doing. So you go with them. Now I'm inviting those who want to have discussion on the base of Shastra. So how do I do? Copy link, share link. So we have this group called ISKM Vaishnava Sangha. So please come. Why isn't it posting as a link? It used to be like that. There was some sort of update. What is that? Can anyone post the link to our Telegram group, please? ISKM Vaishnava Sangha. Please post the link. It is for Prabhujis only. So please, if you want to come and associate with like-minded devotees who are trying to understand things according to Shastra, you can join. If you are like these other persons, please don't come. You go your way, we'll go our way. And yes, also if you want to be contacting me, this is my WhatsApp number. You can contact me personally if you want. I can, if you're a Mataji, you can contact me on this WhatsApp number and I will be putting you in touch with one Mataji who can put you into that group. We have a WhatsApp group for Matajis. And one last little thing. I'm a Grihasta devotee who's trying to preach. I'm trying to adopt the means of a Brahmana, which is basically to preach, to teach deity worship, study Shastra, receive donation and give donation. So I live on donations only. And when I have excess money, I use the money for preaching purposes, or I even buy gifts for devotees that will help them in their spiritual life and so on, or I buy things for the deities in different temples. So if you would like to to support on Patreon, I've put the link of our Patreon. A monthly donation would be greatly appreciated. So we hope you have appreciated this presentation, and offer my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees that are here. And please, devotees, please shun away the materialistic men that we have seen in the comment section. It's not use. We should protect our consciousness first. Shastra enjoins that we do not preach to the envious. So to the seventh offense against chanting the holy name. 9 to instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. So let's not entangle ourselves with them and agitate our mind for no reason. Let's just shun them away and let's stay in the association of blissful devotees and perform devotional service together at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and his instructions. vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitai Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.